Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
I love the efficiency of bourbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Oh, baby! Daddy, how are you, my friend?
I am well. I am tired, but I'm ready to do our last show.
Oh my God. Who the fuck said this is our last show?
Well, in its current iteration, it appears that this is the end of the run. Although, like you say, we can do some specials, maybe pop in and talk about movies or politics or even just some good pussy.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime you are having carnal knowledge, give me a call and we'll go live on
StreamYard. That's my favorite kind of knowledge.
Who is Dan? The other Dan writes. Dan's voice sounds very low and he is under a pile of pillows. Now, why is that? Let me see here.
Maybe I should get closer to the mic. Is that it?
Well, it sounds good to me. I want you guys out there in the land of listenership, tell us how Dan's voice is sounding.
I am touching my penis presently. Not really. My answer here.
Are we having an echo or anything like that? Is that the deal?
I don't hear an echo.
I don't hear one either. We had one complaint from Leo Factor. Dan's voice sounds very low, like he is under a pile of pillows. What have you been doing, Dan?
I've been watching Super Bowl IV with you. Touchdown Jaguars.
Woot! Damn. So we are all rooting for the Jaguars just simply because we want some new blood in the NFL playoffs. And Kitty Cat says he sounds like he is in a box. It sounds like he is in a box. Says
is that some kind of metaphor for the vagina?
Let me see if I can do something.
What if I bring the mic closer to me?
I don't think it's you. It could be me. Hold on.
How about now, guys? Is this any better?
Yeah.
I'm closer.
Kitty Cat, how are you? We'll get this figured out here. It's a new configuration. It sounded good at our meeting today.
It did.
Interest music. I got a way to fix it, but I'd have to use a different mic on my configuration. I'd hate to do that because I really love how this microphone makes me sound.
But it sounds okay to me. I don't know why it would
sounds. Yeah. Okay. All right, hold on.
Okay.
And so, settings, audio, automatically, studio
So
display.
doing that, I'll tell everyone if they don't know, apparently Kansas City has clinched the #1 seed in the American Football Conference, which doesn't seem too fair to Buffalo. But, I told you the NFL capitulates to Patrick Mahomes any way they can. Conspiracy theory.
I think we fixed the audio problem. Omar Barrios is in the house, and he says we sound much better.
All right.
Thank you, Omar. So what are you drinking, Omar? It was my fault. I had the wrong input into StreamYard, and I'm sober, so I need to get a little tipsy, and I will not make any more mistakes. Everybody, this is the Dan and Aldo Bear Their Souls show, and it is officially the last of the weekly shows because we have concocted something new and hopefully better than ever, and it starts next Tuesday. And so there's a gentleman by the name of The Other Dan, D-O-D, T-O-D. Is that, no, The O-D. Right. Look at what's going on with Dan.
Me?
Yeah, you were frozen like this.
Oh, I was just reading the comments.
Oh, okay.
I was reading. I normally don't have access to the comments when I'm working. So
okay. So the other Dan, Nomad, and of course we wouldn't do anything without Johnny Santucci. And the five of us are going to be here on Tuesday with a new variation of this other show. This show, a variation of this show. It's still going to be called Bear Their Souls, but we're going to eliminate the Dan and Aldo part and just call it Bear Their Souls, and we're going to have a lot of fucking fun. And because I really have enjoyed this partnership with Dan and the fact that we started this, 3 years ago?
Yes.
And we've had a ton of fun. We have grown a loyal audience. We wanted to do one more show together before we venture into this new territory, which we are very confident is going to deliver tons of fun. So, Dan, how do you feel? How are you feeling about this being our last official?
A little bit melancholy.
Yeah.
I mean, not to tug on our dicks here, but it feels like we've had good chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that didn't necessarily start immediately, but kind of did.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take but a couple of weeks. And, I guess everyone listening knows at that time there was a sort of a breakup, if you will, in the bar room, and you were just looking to fill the void, and I think we exceeded expectations.
Yep, I agree with you. I do agree with you. Yeah, and what Dan was referring to is that after Phil and Shane left the Barroom Network, I had to start thinking, okay, so what can I do to fill in that time slot? And I was actually talking to my wife. And when I brought up your name, her eyes lit up. She was like, yes, you guys would be great together, just the two of you. And so that's what we did for 3 years. The chemistry started to take off, and we've had a fucking fantastic job. Dan came up with the idea of the media mashup, and that's been a huge success. We have just had a ton of fun. But again, I'm really looking forward to injecting some new talent into this. And frankly, I'm going to hit 65 in the year 2023. So I'm not going to do 50 shows a year anymore. I'm going to cut down a little bit. And so I know Dan wants to do 63 shows.
I was definitely going to help when I did help Bears Country podcast for a bit. And, when Dan, the other Dan, needed me a little bit, yes. And it was my pleasure to work with him. I think nothing but great thoughts about him. And I thought he and I did fairly well chemistry wise, and hope that can continue. And Nomad brings a different style than all of us. Mm-hmm. He's a funny motherfucker, man.
He really is.
Yeah, and it's not like he isn't a fan. I mean, it's not like we're just bringing in somebody just because they tell jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that we all don't talk over each other and all those kind of things. We might stumble a little bit in the beginning when we know when the other one's going to talk, but all things equal, like you said, hopefully we can take the show even to other heights, so to speak, because we have more opportunities, more demographics. It just improves, I guess. And, change isn't necessarily a bad thing. Change can be scary,
yes,
especially when you're leaving your comfort zone, as you know, and this show is kind of a comfort zone. At least it was. So now it's an all new challenge, but maybe that's not a bad thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I love challenges like this. You know, that's part of why I've always loved this business of TV and radio. It's creating new programming, trying different things out, and sometimes things work, and sometimes they don't work. And when they don't work, the challenge is even more enticing to me. How do we get it to work? How do we fix this? How do we get it to be what we envisioned it to be? And so that's going to be our challenge starting Tuesday. We actually had a meeting with the guys today, Nomad and Todd, the other Dan, Todd. I like
Todd.
Johnny Santucci was with us. He is very ill right now. He's got all the signs of this new COVID variant, man. So I hope he's feeling better tonight, and hopefully he'll be ready to rock and roll on Tuesday. But we had a meeting, and it's exciting what we're going to do. So tons of really cool stuff ahead on the Bear Their Souls show. But this last one is just Dan and Aldo Bear Their Souls one last time. And I want to immediately put you to the test because Michael says, oh, man, so cool to see Dan live. He's a wealth of knowledge. All right, so.
Thank you, Michael.
I got this calendar for Christmas. It's got trivia questions.
Okay.
You want to take a shot?
If I shit the bed, I shit the bed.
This is your fault, Michael. This doesn't work.
Well, when the other Dan was asking me questions like about the 1930s Bears, I couldn't get any of those. So
that's right.
If it's similar to that, I'm probably not going to succeed.
All right. Well, this goes back to 1972.
Well, like Aaliyah, I'm going to dust myself off and try again.
There you go. The Bears' first victory on Monday Night Football was a 13-10 win over the Vikings in 1972. What second year back from Missouri rushed for 100 yards that evening?
God, who would have been the Bears running back in 1972? I'm not going to get this one because, again, I can't watch games before 77 for some reason with the Bears. Like anything before 77 is just not something you can get. So none of Walter's rookie year, 75. Sayers is already done at that point. So, yeah, I do not know this answer.
Okay. It is Jim Harrison.
Yeah.
Jim Harrison. Bears.
Isn't he one of the Beatles? No.
Jim Harrison combined with Joe Moore with a 1-2 running back tandem for the 1972 Chicago Bears, 1973, and then they didn't do too good, so that ended. All right, give you another one.
Wasn't the main running back Bobby Douglas, though? Being sarcastic, because that's what we hear about Fields.
Yes. Bobby Douglas is one of my favorite players of all time. The lefty quarterback with the blonde hair actually played baseball after his football career ended because the guy could throw over 100 miles an hour, and that's how hard he would throw the football to a receiver.
Did he make it to the pros?
Downfield. He actually made it to minor league team for the White Sox. Yeah, I don't think he ever played in MLB. The other Dan says I should give you multiple choice, but I think this is an easy one, this next one. With 82 stops, who was the leading tackler among the Bears defensive backs in the 2020 NFL season? With 82 stops, who was the leading tackler among the Bears defensive backs? You folks in the chat room.
All right, let me think. Jalen Johnson was a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
We had Eddie Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy, what's 99's name? Help me on here.
99, Travis.
We had the other Gibson was the other safety.
Deshaun Gibson.
Deshaun Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
And who would have been the other corner in 2020? God, the recency on this I should know, but like as I told you, I'm more of the old school guy.
Yeah,
but let me think who the other corner was in 2020.
You're 0 for 2 because the chat has already come to the rescue. The first.
I'm not looking at it then. Okay. Kyle Fuller. I'm going to go with Kyle Fuller.
Okay. Eddie Jackson.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so the other Dan, your prize will be mailed to you.
I didn't think of Eddie as having a good 2020 at all, though.
I know, right? But he only had 82 stops, so it's not like it was a overwhelming. Ron also got it right. And Ron actually spelled the name wrong. So you lose, Ron. So
well, I'm 0 for 2, though.
Yes,
I mean,
you
shit.
You want to try to make it up?
Well, I'm being exposed as bad at Bears trivia, which I would have never thought was possible. But here we are.
You're going to love this next one. Who started all 16 regular season games at left tackle each year for the Chicago Bears from 2016 to 2020?
Is the answer Charles Leno Jr.?
Yes, that's correct.
I know you love Charles Leno.
I love Charles Leno. He's my guy. My guy.
Can I get back to 500?
Okay, let's see. Who caught a 27-yard touchdown pass with 1:54 remaining for the go-ahead points in the Bears' 27-23 victory over the Lions on kickoff weekend in 2020?
Anthony Miller.
That is correct.
All right, so now we're back to 500. Can I go 3 for 5? I'm trying to win the World Series.
All right. Well, here's another one. This is from the Chicago Bears 2023 calendar. This is the trivia question for Monday, March 20th. What player scored a team-leading 10 touchdowns for the Bears in 2020? What player scored a team-leading 10 touchdowns for the Bears in 2020?
God. 2020, the most touchdowns. Let me think. Obviously, it wasn't Cole Kmet.
No.
It wouldn't have been Anthony Miller, I don't think. A-Rob wasn't doing like a whole lot. David Montgomery maybe in the second year. But no, he was hurt though. Fuck, man. Okay, I'm in a best of 7. I'm down 3 games to 2. I don't know.
Oh, Jeremy got it. David Montgomery.
Oh, I knew it then. I just did. I talked myself out of it thinking that he was hurt.
Oh, I love this game because I don't have to answer these questions. Okay. Oh, shit. All right. This is a good one. I think you will know this one. Who was the first Bears back post Walter Payton to rush for 1,000 yards in a season? Who was the first Chicago Bears running back post Walter Payton?
Neil Anderson.
You are indeed correct.
All right, we're tied. We're tied 3-3 going into game 7.
Oh my goodness. You want to take a guess on how many yards? And if you come within 10, I'll buy you a beer.
Oh, that must have been the 1988 season. And how many yards I have to get within?
100. Let's say 100.
I'm going to say he got 1,100.
Wow, 1106.
Look at that. Straight
Very
out my
good.
old ass there. Huh?
Very good. Can I pour you a drink? Would you like a beer?
You know what? I've been drinking the soda, so I can mix that with some booze, I guess.
All
I
right.
haven't drunk any alcohol except the shit show that I was here back in week 9. And that was the first time I drank. Oh, no, I don't like whiskey. I do not like whiskey. I'm not Clint Eastwood. It's not a Western.
Tequila?
If it's I would prefer vodka if you
I got vodka. I got some Grey Goose. You can drink this right out of the bottle.
Okay, I'll do that
I
then.
got some Polish stuff.
Maybe this will help me sleep tonight since I've been up since 3 a.m. and only had 3 hours of sleep yesterday.
Let me rinse off this glass and you can entertain our audience.
Well, I've still got to go one more on the trivia, I guess,
right.
to get 4. The Jacksonville Jaguars currently trail 10-7 at the end of the second quarter with 35 seconds to go. The winner of this game is going to win the AFC South. Personally, I'm rooting for the Jaguars because they just sort of came out of nowhere. It's like they just dealt with that bullshit with the coach from Florida and Ohio State and dancing with like hookers or whatever the fuck he was doing. And then getting fired halfway through the season, and it's just like, oh, well, they suck, right? They suck, and then they've come on strong. I mean, they're 8-8 right now. They finished 9-8. The surprise team.
You want some ice?
Yeah, sure. I'm hoping one, and not if you have to leave. I'll make do. If
sure?
Yeah.
Here you go, sir.
I was just saying, hopefully one of these days the Bears will be one of those teams that's like, oh my God, they've come out of nowhere. We've seen that happen before in 2005, where they hadn't made the playoffs since 2001, and then suddenly they're 1-3 and finish 11-5. Good times, but I don't know how many more years I got left, so I can't be waiting on the Bears to just not be fucking horrible.
Another soda?
No. I'm good, man. I'm totally good. I even like the cup's a Bears cup. I like that.
Taking care of this guy.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is Nomad? Yeah, we all want to know that. But you know what? I think we're going to have the answer to that question Tuesday night.
I cut the intros in case I see the other Dan is here. So I did the intros for the show. And I think hopefully you all will find that fun.
I'm telling you, man, it's going to be so fucking awesome. Watch on Tuesday.
God damn, I feel 20 when this vodka just says, hello. Your stomach is on fire.
All right, so the score is what?
It's 3-3, although I got the Neil Anderson yardage thing.
Yes,
there.
you did.
I guess that got me some booze, though.
Well, this one I don't think you'd get, so I don't want to go back to the 1940s.
Yeah, I wouldn't get that.
All right, this is a good one. At what? Maybe not. This one's too hard. That's another hard one. Fuck, we're getting into the hard territory. Oh, here's. Oh, this is too easy.
Well, don't give me the too easy one then.
All right, but just for kicks, what was Bears Pro Football Hall of Fame defensive lineman Dan Hampton's famous nickname?
Oh, that is easy. The Danimal.
There you go.
That's also what I call my dick. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true. My dick's not worthy of a cool nickname like that. It's okay. It's okay.
Let me close this door because we got the roaring noise. This is very
Here's your charger, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I'm at 100% now. Thank you.
This guy's all charged up and ready to go. All right, here it is. This is the game winner.
Game 7.
On this date in 1987, the Bears spotted the Buccaneers a 20-0 lead in the first quarter.
This is the Jim McMahon comeback game.
Yes. I was at this game. On this date in 1987, the Bears spotted the Buccaneers a 20-0 lead in the first quarter before roaring back to win 27-26. Who caught the go-ahead 6-yard touchdown pass with a minute 28?
Jim McMahon found Neil Anderson.
That is right.
All right, I win 4-3. The series
That is right.
has been clinched. Dusty Baker is a world champion.
Finally.
That's my guy, Dusty Baker. I know the Cub fans don't like him, but I love Dusty. And I'm considering finally coming back to baseball.
Can you believe this guy? He's actually going to follow baseball.
I might. I don't know if I have the time. I left I was a Reds fan my whole life from like 87 until 2013, the last year Dusty was there I was so discouraged. Mm-hmm. It's like the man just won 97 games and 91 games and they're fucking making him leave. And it's just like, what have the Reds done? Dusty could go. The Reds won like 12 games last season. Mm-hmm. He could have come in the locker room with that same team and won at least 75 just because he's Dusty. And I'm not saying he's going to win a World Series, but Dusty elevates everybody.
He does.
He's what we want Justin Fields to be, like that segue.
Yes.
For the offense,
well done.
We want Justin to start hitting those short, medium passes, and I don't want to pop my peas. Mm-hmm. And then he'll be the quarterback that we hope that he is going to be for as the stories come out this week. He wants to be the man that helps the city and the franchise, and well, we want that too. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to happen tomorrow. But I do have a feeling, I don't want to steer the show here, because you may have gone in another direction, but I have this sneaky feeling that dumbass Nathan Peterman could throw for 300 tomorrow. And it would be so Bears. Like Lovey wins. Lovey helps the Bears. He wins. The Texans win. And then the Bears win too.
So Dan is saying that of all things, tomorrow, he and I are going to the game, by the way, which is why he's in town. I gotta backtrack even more than this. 15 weeks ago, maybe 17 weeks ago, Dan calls me and says, "Hey man, I see that there are really inexpensive tickets for the Vikings game, the Bears, the final game of the season. The Bears could be playing for the NFC Division Championship. We ought to go."
Yeah, we thought that game could mean at least a wild card berth.
So I'm going, yeah, right. I'll go with you.
Think about this. The Bears had 2 wins in September. It's January 6th or 7th or whatever day it is, the 7th, and they've only got 3. They had 2 in September.
Yeah, it's true.
Jesus Christ.
It's true. It's been a fucking ugly season. We're going to talk about the season coming up, but So Dan's thing, and he just said it really, is that he suspects that Nathan Peterman is going to have this phenomenal game. Lovey's going to win the game, but Peterman is going to fuck up the Bears' chances of getting the overall first pick in the draft because he's going to have a phenomenal game and the Bears are going to win. Wouldn't that be just like the Bears?
It would. Or he'll throw 4 picks and we'll just get annihilated and standing there like this and shit. Like, man, how bad can this get? And who's the backup tomorrow? That's a question.
Oh, yeah. It's a practice squad guy they picked up about 4 weeks ago. I think his name is Nomad.
That's who he is.
I like this. So the other Dan says Nathan Putrid Man is awful. He is awful.
He was terrible in Buffalo.
Yeah. I was on at the Senior Bowl when Nathan Peterman was a player there, and so we got to see him practice, and he was knocking people out with errant passes. People on the sideline getting hit in the head. So it's so typical Bears that he's now a member of the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna Dan and I are gonna be at that game tomorrow, and we're just gonna have a fucking blast. We're gonna start fights with anybody wearing purple.
Now, didn't you say that they're Chicago Bears players that are trying to give away their personal tickets?
Yes, Darrington Evans and Larry Borum. If you go to their Twitter accounts right now, they still might have the tickets available to raffle off. So those are at least 2 players. I think there are more who are desperately trying to get rid of their tickets. Jeremy tells us it's Tim Boyle.
Oh, God, that sounds like something like you would have to get removed, cancerous, a boil.
That's right.
Please get this boil off of my ass.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't want him to play.
The other Dan, they're not giving. The other Dan is asking, if I come up for training camp for a week, can you get us media passes? They're not giving media passes away to bloggers and podcasts. They did that during the Jim Fox era. And then the story really is that it's all Phil Toshin's fault. Should we get into that story?
Yeah, you told it on there before. You said that he went to a Cutler press. Now, I would no shame on Phil here. I'm not trying to talk any shit. I love Cutler so much, I'd be giving him softball questions too. But he was like a press secretary for either candidate, which one you want, when they choose their. At least that's the way the story was told to me.
Yeah. So anyways, Phil Toshin, working for the USA Today's Bears Wire, attended a practice with the Patriots and Bears. And so he went there and he started asking Jay Cutler questions, but he was also complimenting Jay and saying things like, all these other guys don't believe in you, but I believe in you. And he just would pontificate and finally ask a question. And so guys like Brad Biggs and other guys are like, who the fuck is this guy? And so as soon as the press conference was over, it did not go well for my buddy Phil. But so since that time, the podcasters and bloggers and stuff are no longer invited to at least the Chicago Bears camp. So
maybe old friend Greg Braggs could help. Remember?
That's a guy I'd lean on. The other Dan.
Yeah, so he's with CHGO.
CHGO.
And
right.
Greg used to be here, and Greggy Sunshine, as they called him.
That's right.
And Greg's a nice guy, so maybe he could hook you up.
Super nice guy. But the other Dan, if you do come up here, we'll nail down some passes and go check out some of the practices and sit up in the stands with the other reporters, because that's where they sit too. Their only access is after the game. They'll pull a couple of players out for interviews, and that's where the media gets to ask a few questions of the coach and a couple of players they pull out. So
can I address Jeremy here?
Jeremy.
Cutler still sucks. Okay.
He's talking politically.
Well, maybe. But if you've seen the offensive line that we have now, it's kind of on par with what Jay had. And what we want from Fields is for him to at least have a 300-yard game someday. Not rushing. That would be cool too, but we'd like to see him consistently grow as a passer because, that's what his detractors say he can't do.
Right.
So with that context, don't you kind of think Jay was a little underrated now, given that all the shit he put up with and he was getting nailed? Remember the Giants game? He was sacked 9 times in the first half, dealing with concussion after concussion. And he was still like, Jay didn't have a conscience, man. He slung that fucking rock, whether you liked it or not, or and the guy from Washington picked him off 4 times in the same game. But he wasn't afraid, man. He wasn't afraid, and he got us to the title game. It was too bad he couldn't get us to the Super Bowl. But I think Jay, maybe the people that think Jay sucked should go into a little bit of a new appraisal, I think.
I think that would be fair. And I got to tell you, along with Draft Dr. Phil, I used to root for Jay Cutler and was a fan of Jay Cutler. And but there was one thing that we can all criticize Jay Cutler for, and I think we would all agree, and that is that he was a terrible leader. He was just bad, and he didn't inspire his teammates, with the exception of a couple of close friends, guys like Kyle Long and what have you. But he was just bad. In between the ears was what Jay's problem was. He didn't want to learn offenses. He just wanted to sling it. I mean, he looked up to Brett Favre and quarterbacks of yesteryear who were just slinging the ball. And so he was very, very reluctant to learn offenses. And finally, when Trestman, of all people, came along and Adam Gase was his offensive coordinator, finally, he started to demonstrate some leadership capabilities. He started to master the offense, and things started to go well. But what happens? Injuries, because the offensive line was so putrid.
Yeah, well, then if, like you said, the Trestman era and then the Adam Gase, because Gase was with Fox, which I knew that's what you meant. But with Trestman, it's like you had the team just melted down when the other Dan was our coach, Mark Trestman, you know.
Right.
But the offensive line sucked. The defense was the worst ever until this year. This statistically may be the worst defense on the team in the history. I don't know that yet. It still could be 2014 or 2013, the Mel Tucker years. But you had no defense. You had Brandon Marshall like suddenly in a feud with Jay. You know, he didn't come to the hospital to see him after the Dallas game, and apparently they still don't talk. You had Alshon being Alshon, soft tissue injury. I can't play today. Defense can't tackle. So that shit show. Then you had an offensive coordinator throw Jay under the bus to everybody and then cry to the team when it came out that he did it. Aaron Cromer, was that his name?
Yes.
And then finally you get Gase and John Fox, and, you know, they had a run. They beat the Packers on Thanksgiving, and then Robbie started missing kicks. And Robbie missed some kicks, eliminated him from the playoffs, and then Gase and his crazy eyes got a head coaching job after that. And that was to the detriment of Cutler.
This was Gase at the press conference.
So there are a lot of things you could to look back on Jay with. It's just too bad early on. At one point, he was like 27-10 as starter. When in his first couple of years with the Bears. If you remember, as we all do, you know, championship game in 2010, 7-3 in 2011, breaks the thumb. They finish 8-8. So they go, you know, 1-5 without him. Josh McCown got the only victory. And that was in a season finale in Minnesota when Major Wright hurt Urlacher's knee. And then the next season, they're 7-1. Don't make the playoffs. They finished 10-6. And Cutler was hurt in the Houston game, so Jason Campbell had to start in San Francisco and got sacked a litany of times. And that was the birth of Colin Kaepernick. And ironically, Russell Wilson, he had his big coming out party. We were up 10-7, 10-3 or something, and they go 97 yards. And then Jay throws a miracle pass to Brandon Marshall, and Gold kicks a field goal. They go to overtime, and then the defense gives up an 80-yard drive to lose the game, which was Urlacher's last game as a Bear. So there's so many things to look at with Jay's run ending the way it did. All in all, I think there should be a reappraisal. There's a lot more to it, you know?
I think so. I mean, anyone that says Jay Cutler sucked is really wrong. I mean, there's just no way to put it. Jay had faults, but overall, he was a good quarterback. He was a quarterback you could have won championships with. Just shit happened, and bad coaching, hirings, and you know, when Jerry Angelo, God bless him, because he did so many good things with the squad. But when he acquired Jay Cutler, he thought that the passing game was done. I don't have to worry about offensive linemen. I don't have to worry about wide receivers. I don't have to worry. I just concentrate on Lovey's defense. That was the huge problem. That was a huge problem for Jay Cutler. The weapons weren't there. I mean, when you have Devin Hester as your number one receiver for 2-3 seasons, that's not good.
And Jay, in his early run as he grew and become a father and was married and had, like I said, with kids, and he seemed to mature, but the team was too far away to win when he got to where the Bears hoped he was when they traded for him. But when they traded for him from Denver at age 26, he didn't have a filter. So he would say Devin Hester's not any good.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Hester could make the Hall of Fame, but that's for special team play. But Jay would call him out. Jay liked Greg Olson. He liked Johnny Knox. I mean, and he liked Earl Bennett because he went to college with him. But beyond that, I don't think Jay liked anybody on that original run is like being dependable.
Right.
Is he saying Devin Aromashudu's my guy?
Mm-hmm.
We know he didn't like Devin in terms of depending on him. So I think your leadership point is early on, he was incapable of picking those players up and making them better. I do think later on he was, but the team, the cupboard was too bare.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
By the way, Omar Barrios, I know you're probably spelling your name correctly, but I think that you should spell it B-E-A-R, just for fucking kicks.
Hey, Jeff George had a fucking rocket arm, and so did Cutler, so I think that's the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
But George had some good years, man. Look at his stats with the Falcons. He did okay with the Raiders, too. Now, did he win the Super Bowl? Of course not. But Jeff George, number one pick in the draft for a reason, man. I mean, he was again, he's not Joe Montana, but no one can tell me that Jeff George is one of those guys that the league decided they didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Kaepernick, regardless of what your politics are, he was kind of blackballed. Mm-hmm. And Jeff George, he was with the 2004 Bears, but he never got on the field. And this is when Rex got hurt in Minnesota that year, and we had Jonathan Quinn and Chad Hutchinson. It was just a shit show. And at the end of the year, they signed Jeff George, but he didn't make it onto the field. At that point, he was begging people for an opportunity. Please, I'm sorry I was an asshole when I was young. I think that's the comparison with Jay and George, because Jeff George blew up June Jones on the field as coach. So everyone said, you know what? That fucker's an asshole. I don't like him. And so many people said that about George, or Jay. But conversely, Aaron Rodgers has been a dick since like 2001. And he wasn't even in the league yet. He's been an asshole his whole life. And everyone just fucking sucks his dick and never calls him out for just all the teammates that say he's a mercurial fuck and just a me guy. Only cares about himself. But we had to hear how bad Cutler was for years. So
I think you nailed it, man. And isn't this guy incredible? I mean, for him to dip back into history like that, I can't fucking remember what I did this morning. And this motherfucker's recalling games and stats and stuff like that. It's unbelievable. By the way, Don Burr is in the chat room, and we all know and love Don Burr. He is our resident Detroit Lions troll.
Please beat the Packers tomorrow, Don.
Yes. Well, some people are saying, fuck the Lions. I hope they lose. So we'll see. Zach is rooting for the Lions, but I want to ask you some questions, Mr. Dan Aguirre. Do you know anything about Detroit Lions trivia?
No, I know Eric Kramer won that playoff game in 1991 that I watched.
You know some.
That was the last time they won a playoff game before 1957, I think.
Okay, so
since then too.
So here, I'm just going to ask you 3 Lions trivia questions, and you.
Good point, Don. I agree. In Green Bay, man, damn.
Yes, he's absolutely right, because the refs are going to be battling against the Lions tomorrow. So my first trivia question: name the fucking idiot quarterback for the Detroit Lions who stepped out of bounds.
Dan Orlovsky.
Ding, 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 ding.
Who is some expert now, like on ESPN.
That's right.
But yeah, he ran out of the back of the end zone for a safety and continued to run as if the play was live.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Question number 2 regarding the Detroit Lions. Name the Detroit Lions running back who would spend 99% of the game being tackled 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then would blast off a 100-yard run, and everyone would call him one of the best running backs of all time.
Barry Sanders. Are you saying Barry wasn't one of the best backs?
No, I'm just fucking around with Don Burr.
Barry was so good that had he not retired, because again, I'm not shitting on the Lions here, Don. As you know, he was like, if you don't trade me and get me out of the Detroit, I'm going to retire. And they thought he was bluffing, but he retired.
Right.
Calvin Johnson also retired because he said, fuck the Lions. But Barry, if he had kept playing, would have broken Walter's record.
Mm-hmm.
And had that occurred, I would have been like, oh, okay, he deserves it. I still feel that Emmitt Smith didn't.
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith had like 4 Pro Bowl linemen in front of him every year, like the first 5 or 6 years. Then after that, he suddenly wasn't any good when the line sucked. Conversely, Walter didn't have 1 Pro Bowl lineman in front of him until his 11th season in 1985. So he did all that shit on his own, and that's a fucking fact. He didn't have a Pro Bowl lineman in front of him until 85.
Wow.
Yeah, Emmitt Smith had a couple of cake years, but hell, you could have taken, who's somebody that really was a disappointment for the Bears and put him on that line. You could put Rashawn Salam or Curtis Enos, if he doesn't blow out his knee, in front of that 1990, 91, 92, 93, 4, 5 Cowboys line, and they're going to lead the league in rushing too.
Mm-hmm.
So I always feel salty when Emmitt broke Walter's record, because it's like, dude, it's just like he had a rich parent that got him into a school. Like, what was that bitch's name? The girl that got in trouble and went to prison because she got her kids into USC or whatever. Lori Loughlin.
Lori Loughlin.
Yeah, he's Lori Loughlin. He's got a rich dad that gave him the fucking rushing title or something. Jerry Jones. Thank you.
How many seasons did Barry Sanders play?
89 through 99, I think.
That sounds right.
Maybe 98, 99. He retired after Fonts was gone. They had the Bobby Ross that used to coach San Diego was there. I think he was 89 through 99. So I'd say 11 seasons.
11 sounds right. All right, my last Lions trivia question. You're 2 for 2, which is better than your Bears trivia. All right, this head coach.
Hey, I won the Bears trivia. Come on now.
Yes, you did.
That's right.
It took you 7.
Hey, but I got the qualifying question with Neil too. So.
You did. This Lions head coach lit up a cigar the shape
Wayne Fonts.
Wait a minute, the shape of a penis, and sucked it on national TV. And his name is
Wayne Fonts. It is my favorite episode of Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. My favorite one we've ever done. Now, we had some great. I mean, maybe other people think, otherwise. You mentioned Phil earlier. I'm sure that he probably says, fuck those guys. When again, I liked Phil. So, but, we had some 5-hour shows that I deeply, deeply enjoyed when you're just like, we hadn't planned on it, but it was so good. But my favorite show was when Eric Kramer came on with this.
Yes.
And Greg Braggs had me on his podcast a couple of years ago, and he had Tom Waddle on. And I told Tom Waddle that my theory was that the 91 Bears were like this fucking close to going to the Super Bowl. And I said, this is why. Because the Dallas game, okay, we lose 17-13. You're out in the first round. So how could that be, Dan? First off, Jim Harbaugh got sick and went to the hospital on Friday night before the game. And Tom Zach was gone by that point. It was going to be Peter fuck Tom Willis as the starter. But thankfully, Harbaugh gives it a go, but he's still not well. And as a result, he throws a couple of picks. I'm not saying that Dallas didn't deserve to win, but I'm just saying, had they gotten by Dallas, I said this to Tom Waddle, and he smiled. And then I told Eric Kramer this. And Eric Kramer, go back in the archives. Eric Kramer, I said, if the Bears had beaten Dallas, they would have gone to Detroit. Mike Ditka would have been so fired up over that cigar shit on Monday Night Football, and they'd already played you twice. Eric Kramer's not throwing for 335 yards on the Bears defense. That's the Dave Wannstedt Dallas defense. I mean, he's not doing that. He didn't do that. Look at the 2 games he played that year against the Bears.
Right.
And Eric Kramer, Detroit Lion 1991, agreed. He said, when I saw this, I'm paraphrasing. He said, when I saw the cigar, I shook my head and I knew that was too much. But even Kramer knew, oh no, he's cashing a check we can't follow up on. So had the Bears beaten Detroit or Dallas, they would have gone to Detroit, beaten them. Then you go to the championship game. They lost to Washington 20-7 that year, but they couldn't control Charles Mann. Charles Mann had like 5 sacks or some shit. Well, you've already played. Oops, Jesus, God almighty. They've already played that game, so now they can chip, and they know how to, they take the experience of that first game, and that helps them beat Washington. They know how to nullify him. Then the Super Bowl, what happened? They'd play Buffalo. They played the Bills, and had the lead at halftime, I think, off the top of my head. And then the second half, a couple of plays went. They had a touchdown negated. There were some penalties, and then Buffalo ran away with it. My point is they had beaten or played all these teams and could have coached around it. And all that starts with Wayne Fonts and that cigar, and even Eric Kramer suggested, "Oh fuck, I don't think we could have won that." Mm-hmm. Now again, Tommy Waddle just was like, "I like the way you think, but I can't necessarily endorse that."
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's a funny kicker to that story.
Yeah, Waddle is such a nice guy. He really is. And the scary thing about that, if you all haven't heard Tommy talk about the Dallas game, he caught a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and I think he had 9 catches that day. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't remember his touchdown.
Ooh.
He was in the ambulance with his wife after the game, and he didn't know who she was.
Oh my goodness, scary shit.
He came back into the game and caught a touchdown that he can't even remember to this day.
Wow.
Because he was concussed and just went back in. Because
Mm-hmm.
you could do that in 91. And so good for Mr. Waddle to be, cognitively, he's fine. He's mentally acute. His acuity's well. He's on the radio for years, and he's great at it.
Oh, cool. Omar Barrios lives 20 minutes away from Draft Dr. Phil Latoshin. That is. Send him a message. Send him our love, Omar, when next time you see him.
Let me give a shout out in that regard. Actually, I asked Phil about this a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. A guy that was friends with me on Twitter, and I sent him some games a bunch of years ago now. What the fuck, dude? This keeps trying to get me to update my email. But he was like, man, I knew Phil's dad, and I went to high school with him, and I asked Phil about him. He was like, this guy says he knows you and, kind of put you over. And he's like, oh, I don't know who that was. I mean, maybe he's telling the truth. I'm not saying he was lying, but who was the guy? I want to give him he went to school with Phil.
While you're looking at a quick trivia,
Sure.
Name the TV series starring Lions great Alex Karras.
How about Monday Night Football? He was there briefly on
that is a good one. I don't think Laz was referring to that.
David, his last name's Sned. Fuck, I'm getting a weather alert telling me that it's snowing back home. If that'll move off, I can tell you it's fucking Snedeker. Snedeker. I don't know. He's a nice guy, and he's the one that knew Phil in school, but Phil said he didn't know him.
By the way, the answer I think that Zach was looking for is Webster.
Webster?
Yeah, wasn't he? Alex Karras played the father of a African-American boy who was really a short guy. Michael Jackson made him famous because he
You mean Gary Coleman?
No.
I thought you were talking about Different Strokes for a minute.
No.
I was like, Alex Karras was on Different Strokes?
Yeah, you know how TV shows copy one another?
Yeah,
when Gary Coleman became famous, I think this Webster kid was either before him or after him. I don't remember.
I was conflating Webster with Willis, where he's like, what you talking about, Willis? I was thinking he was saying, what you talking about, Webster?
We have another trivia question that is coming in, and I've lost it. It is, who has more receiving yards, Devin Hester or Earl Bennett with the Bears?
Ooh.
Just with the Bears. Whoever asked that question, give us the answer.
I'll go with Devin because Earl was inactive in 08, didn't play any games.
Mm-hmm.
He was there 9 through 13, and Devin had, 7, 8, 9, 10, where he was featured, did a little bit 11, 12. Okay, someone's saying Earl there. I don't know. I'll just guess Devin.
Yeah, I think it's Earl Bennett.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Cedric says, hey, Cedric, what's happening? I meant to give you a shout out, brother, like 5 shows again, but because I drink too much, I forgot to. Cedric, shout out to you. And he says, hey, Aldo, love watching you. I am co-workers with your daughter. Holy cow.
Uh-oh.
Cedric Hodges. That's right. You work at the grammar school where my beautiful daughter is a school teacher. And she told me, yeah, I got a co-worker who watches your show all the time. So here, Cedric, please don't tell her what I talk about on this show.
So you're talking about school. I got to raise my hand.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm raising my hand. This battery's about to die.
Oh, okay. I'll take care of it. Entertain people.
Okay. Yeah. So you all got me on some questions, man. So again, I'm not perfect or flawless, and I apologize for getting some of those wrong.
Hold on. While I'm away, could you tell them that sex story that you told me earlier today?
Which one?
I don't know, any one of them.
What sex
I'll
story?
be right back.
Okay, I'll admit one for you. I don't think I said this earlier today, but I told this story recently to somebody else. I'd like to think that I'm not like a frivolous asshole, you know, because I'm not as thin as I'd like to be and shit like that. But I guess all of us at some point, whether we want to be or not, have some things that we like, oh God, no. But one time I was getting blown, you know, and like at first, like it's the first time she'd ever sucked my dick. So I didn't want to like look down and make eye contact and have her look up at me like a fucking gopher or something. It's just kind of strange. So, but I didn't know her well, so I was trying not to look down and didn't want to grab her head too rough, and no pun intended with getting me head. But I did look down and I was horrified. I was horrified to see that she was going bald. I'm not saying any names, but she had, it's like a comb over and you could see all through. Now, no, I'm not trying to be a dick. If she had like gone through chemo or some shit, you know, I would definitely not make fun of that. I'm not making fun of this either, but I thought to myself, I can't date some bald bitch. I mean, you know, like I'm not trying to, I mean, there are people that say I'm not dating this fat fuck. I get it, you know, but that's what I'm saying though. But I was like, man, she's got male pattern baldness and is a girl, you know, I guess that's frivolous on that, but I like hair on women, you know, I like some fucking hair. I don't want her to have a goddamn like Matt Nagy bald spot, like the horseshoe. So I'm not mentioning any names. The person I'm talking to is very, very nice. She just happens to be going bald as shit, you know, and it's.
Got battery?
Yeah, I've got life. It's charging.
Well, that didn't sound like a very pleasant story.
No, I looked down and she was sucking my dick and she had like a comb over and you could see through her hair. I was like, you know, who's sucking? Is it a woman or is it Woody Allen? Because I think he would do it too.
That is true. Oh, so some people are wondering if it was Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler had great hair.
He did.
Cutler had great hair.
That's what Dan, the other Dan says. Oh, that is hilarious.
You know who's got great hair is Dave Wanstead.
Zach says
Mike Ditka had good hair.
Great hair. Zach says, did you check her for balls? Did she have
No, she didn't have balls. She had, you know, a good vagina.
Chicago's Finest gives us the ultimate question. Devin had 2,700 yards total in the Bears' career, but that's not receiving. The question Chicago's Finest that he asked was how many receiving yards. So if you're counting total yards, then that counts Devin Hester's return yards. And so, of course, he's going to eclipse like fucking everybody except Walter Payton probably. Anyway. All right. So here's what I want to do, guys. We have no structure here, but I did have an idea. I wanted to look back at the 2022 Chicago Bears season. And the Chicago Tribune.
This is where we need a drink.
Or two.
Right.
The Chicago Tribune ran a really cool feature the other day. I think it was written by your favorite author, sports writer, Dan Weider, where he just looked back at the Chicago Bears season starting from January of 2022 and commented on these major events that happened throughout the season. So obviously back in January, let's go back to January 22. The first major news out of Hallis Hall was the firing of Matt Nagy. And so Dan relived that feeling for us.
It was a feeling of an orgasm that you didn't work for. I mean, I've never had one of those dreams where you wake up and there's nut everywhere and you're like, oh, I had a wet dream. I wish I'd have one of those.
Right.
You wake up and I'm like, wow, I just fucking nutted somehow and I didn't have to tug on it 78 times.
Exactly.
So, or it's like a woman just is like, look, I'm going to ride your shit and do all the work and I'm going to make you come in my vagina. And you're like, okay, I can do that. Yeah, just please do that. So that's what it felt like when Nagy was gone. I was like, oh my God, it's like an orgasm that I didn't earn.
Mm-hmm.
That's how happy I was when the bald fuck was gone.
So that was followed by the announcement that the Chicago Bears had hired the first ever African-American general manager to the team, Ryan Poles. Of course, not many of us knew who Ryan Poles was, but after you heard his first press conference, what were your thoughts?
His first press conference was a disaster. He was reading and not reading well. It was like you were in school and there was a kid that was dyslexic and he was learning to read. And you're like, oh, that's good. You know, like he's getting better. But that's the way Ryan Poles sounded. Coupled with that, this is frivolous. But he was named Ryan. And it was so close to Ryan Pace. I was like, oh, no. And then he was from Kansas City. I'm like, oh, God, no. Because Terry Shea comes from Kansas City in 2004. Totally is terrible, gets fired after 1 year as Bears offensive coordinator. Then, well, we know Matt Nagy came from Kansas City, and that bullshit play they ran today where they took off running and did hopscotch and jumped rope and touched each other's balls. You know he's the one that came up with that. You know it. He was sitting there saying, this is going to look so cool. I thought about this for 18 weeks, and this is my contribution to the team this year. Fuck that guy. So my point being, when Ryan Poles come from Kansas City, he had a name similar to Ryan Pace and had a bad first presser. I was like, oh, I want him to be good, but I'm afraid he's not going to be.
I have to agree with you that was not one of the more inspiring press conferences that came out of Hallis Hall. It was, in fact, very disappointing and got me. I became afraid, but I was still hopeful. I want to give the guy a fair shot.
Right.
You know, he's, you know, I can understand being nervous. I've been nervous many a time when cameras and people were facing me. So but also, I can't find the article right now, but Matt Eberflus was introduced at that press conference as well. What was your first impression of Matt Eberflus?
I said, to be fair, again, because I'm down on him now. At the time, I was like, he sounds like an adult. Matt Nagy sounds like a kid that plays Madden in like 10th and 11th grade. And he's like, man, I'm so fucking great at playing Madden. I beat people online and I talk shit. And you're a fucking kid. You don't know what you're doing. You're over your head. Eberflus sounded like an adult. And it was like, paid his dues. You know, he's in his 50s. He's been an assistant everywhere. And it's just like, okay, at least we got a grown-up in the room.
Let me take a look at the chat. Saw Nagy on TV today. Gonna have some nightmares now.
God.
The other Dan is wondering, what is it again that you're drinking?
Vodka.
Oh.
We were talking about that Donald Sutherland movie called Alex in Wonderland, where he has this uncomfortable scene where he's naked in the bathtub with his own child, and she's like 6, and his cock's in the water and shit, and the camera shows her stuff. Like a little girl, it's like, man, if pedophiles would just literally get off to this, the best way to redo that, A, cut out the scene of the girl's privates, but 2, insert Matt Nagy into the tub instead of Donald Sutherland. Matt Nagy's so awful, his bald head and his fake smile. He looks like he'd be a pedophile.
Okay.
Hey, if the Republicans can call every Democrat a pedophile, I can call Matt Nagy a pedophile.
Okay. All right. So the next event. Now I found the article. So it was written by none other than Dan Wiederer of the Chicago Tribune. And the next major event he had for the Chicago Bears 2022 season was on March 10th. What happened on that day? Khalil Mack was traded. What were your impressions of the trade and what Ryan Poles received in return?
I was hoping for more, but I also knew his cap hit. Of course, we had to eat that for the most part this year, but it was going to be a get out of jail free card next season. And look, I've been taking so much shit over this, but again, I was happy about the trade. Now, going into the offseason, I thought the Bears would probably be better if Mack was healthy and still there. So if they could have worked out, like if he would have been like, guys, I owe it to you, I'm going to take a pay cut or something, restructure his deal again. And I'd be like, okay, he wants to be here. He's a team player, and, you know, I'd like to see him stay. But under that contract, it didn't make sense business-wise. And we know he had a great first half in Green Bay in 2018, a great first half. He disappeared in the Eagles playoff game. I don't think he had a tackle. He didn't do shit in the Saints playoff game. He had the game where he beat against Tom Brady when they sacked him and Brady lost, didn't even know what down it was. And he did that like hip toss but it was a rookie. Like you said, he always takes advantage and has big games against backups or rookies. If it's a guy that is a seasoned pro, they can shut him down where he can't get a single tackle or sack. So if you can take, like, when we give up 2 first-round picks for Khalil Mack, we should have been getting Lawrence Taylor 2.0.
Right.
And no one was going to shut down LT. It didn't matter if you literally, because all the Bears fans lied. He's being triple teamed. He's being quadruple teamed. We got to make excuses for this guy. Like LT really was getting all that shit and still getting sacks. Like Khalil Mack was just this propagated myth that he was never single blocked and he would get blocked by tight ends. But no one would ever acknowledge that because, we wanted him to be great. I get it. I'm part of that problem. And I love Cutler. A lot of people didn't like Cutler, so I get it. We like who we like. But Mack didn't deliver. And ironically, the Raiders got Josh Jacobs in that trade, and I'm hoping we sign him now in the offseason. But to answer your question, when Khalil Mack was traded, I thought, well, I wish we'd have gotten more for him, but, he didn't deliver. So fine, fuck him. Let him go.
2 things from the chat. First of all, Chicago's finest, thank you very much for serving and protecting us. He says that you, Dan Aguirre, were right. It was Hester with more receiving yards than Earl Bennett.
I thought so.
So that puts you well over the top. 5 correct Bears trivia questions and only 3 wrong. And by the way, as a reminder, 3-0 in Lions trivia questions. The other point here is somebody said that the Mac trade was the beginning of the tank. I kind of agree with that. What do you think?
I think just look, even if I loved Mac and I had one of Mac's jerseys and I rooted for him, it's not like I wanted him to suck. And I don't think he sucked, but he could get completely neutralized and taken out of the game. I mean, great players find a way to be great players when it's time to be great players and make an impact. 2 postseason games with us, nothing. 1 postseason game with the Raiders, nothing. This man has been in 3 playoff games and done nothing. Now, what do we know about Chicago icons, such as I'm looking at a Michael Jordan jersey? Even when he wasn't winning, he's still dropping 63 at the Boston Garden. It's not nothing, not to be a double negative, but you get the point. Like, great players show up even if they lose, man. Like, the tank, I don't think so. I think at that time, Mac, they had to trade him because of his salary cap. I mean, because of his hit. Now, if he'd have restructured again, to Mac's credit, he had already restructured once. So I don't think he's going to fuck that. Why would I, But I don't think he was tanking there. I think that was a business decision. Business decision. Why can't I fucking speak?
This is a professional broadcast.
It is, man. It is. I've been up since 3:00. I don't even have a buzz, so it's not that. It's just that I guess I'm tired, but I think he did that because of the salary cap situation. I don't think that was a tank move. Roquan maybe is a tank move, and Robert Quinn probably a tank move. But then again, he got us a good pick out of that, and Robert Quinn didn't do shit with the Eagles. So
here's how I look at the Mac trade. I do think that was the beginning of the tank, simply because if you're getting away, if trading away a guy who is demanding double teams, who is helping your other pass rushers, I understand why you're trading him. He makes too much money. He's not delivering the sack totals that you want out of a superstar. I totally get it.
Or just tackles,
or even tackles. He's getting injured way too much. So I understand trading him, but to me, it was the beginning of we're building for the future. Send me some draft picks and we'll give you one of our best players on our team. Then they did it again with Roquan Smith. Then they did it again with
Robert
Quinn. So when you do that, you're tanking. I don't give a fuck if you're trying to win the game. You don't have the players. You don't have the talent to win the game. So it's applause that you're not going out there and playing every game like you did last Sunday's game against the Lions, where it looks like the team quit. But you clearly are not giving your team the best chance to win when you're trading away three of the best defensive players on the team. So I think it was a tank, however you want to look at it.
I think again, your opinion's valid. It's not mine isn't right over yours.
Sure.
I just think that regardless of who the general manager was, they were going to have to make that move with that cap hit. So even if he was like, I want to make the playoffs this year, I think he had to make that move because of the salary cap.
Now, I've contended that with all of the trades that were made, that the Bears probably could have gotten a little bit more, but I am in the minority there. People more agree with Zach, who says he thinks the Poles trades were genius, although he wasn't happy about the Mac trade initially. But I just feel like, for instance, the trade of Robert Quinn to the Eagles, what did we get for that? We got
was it a fourth?
A fourth-round pick, right?
Well, I mean, that proved to be, we didn't know it at the time, but that proved to be a good trade given what he got. Philly got nothing out of him.
Yeah, he's on IR. He's done nothing. But I still believe that there could have
and
been.
He only had one sack with the Bears.
Right. So he was showing signs of regressing, but I still think that you probably could have got a fourth and a fifth in 2024. I just feel like you're trading away a guy who just had 18 and a half sacks the season.
Don't forget he held out in the summer too and was reportedly wanting a trade then.
Yeah, I don't know.
He contradicted that.
Right, he did.
He contradicted that, but maybe that's a fresh face to come out and to save face after he didn't get moved. And the context was that was after the Mac trade, right?
Right.
So he wanted out and he got his way. And maybe he was not exerting a lot of effort to get out. I'm not saying that's true. It's something to consider. And as the other Dan pointed out months and months ago, that Robert Quinn's tendencies over the years is perform well the next season, and then well again. He's kind of every other year. But now he's got another year of age on his body too. So, I mean, the defensive line be this bad without him? Probably not. But maybe he gets hurt with the Bears too when he's out for the year.
Yeah.
I think it's a good trade, and I liked Quinn.
Yeah. Well, who was it that just said the tanking or it was Laz. Laz says the tank started when they hired Ryan Poles immediately. And there's truth to that. It's, as somebody else said, the better word is rebuild. The Mac trade signaled a rebuild, to phrase it better. And when Ryan Poles went into the interview with George McCaskey and Bill Polian, he laid out this plan. He says, we need to gut it down to the studs. We need to get rid of all. Well, we're going to take a huge hit in 2022 with all of this dead cash money. We're going to be paying almost $100 million because of the players that the previous administration let go and we still owed money to, and the players that I'm going to let go. He had to lay all this out to George McCaskey. George McCaskey wasn't sitting around like us and saying, oh, wow, you guys going to trade Khalil Mack? You didn't tell me this during the hiring process. They knew. This was a plan that was all laid out. So,
and another context real quick to that. Virginia McCaskey just turned 100 and wants nothing more in her life to win another Super Bowl. And her son feels that pressure.
Yes.
And yet he was still okay with the Khalil Mack trade.
Exactly. So that's huge. All right, so let's get back to this timeline. We talked about March 10th. That was the third major date that Dan Wiederer listed on his timeline here of 10 events from the 2022 season that were a huge impact to the Bears. Now, this next event actually contradicts a little bit of what I was saying, and that is when Ryan Poles announced that the Bears were going to sign Larry Ogunjobi to a 3-year, $40 million contract. Larry Ogunjobi is probably top 5 3-tech defensive tackles, which this defense, this cover 2 defense, dearly needs. In order to have effective defense, you got to have a disruptive pass rusher up the middle who can also stop the run game and help the linebacker stop the run game. But what happened is that Poles rescinded the deal because of the injury issue that Larry Ogunjobi had been suffering to. He had broken his ankle during the playoffs last season, and after the Bears did the physical, they were like, yeah, investing that much money for 3 years is probably not a good idea.
Could you do me a favor? Could you look up what he's done in Pittsburgh?
Sure.
Statistically, I bet it's still better than anything we've got this season out of those shit fucks up front.
I bet you're right.
I've never seen a defensive line not be able to do anything.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, we can't get to the passer. We can't get to that quarterback at all, but man, we can stop the run. We're here for something.
Mhm.
Or we get gashed on the run, but we got great penetration and we sack the quarterback. There's usually something that's redeeming about at least one of the guys on the front four.
Totally agree.
I can't see what that is now.
Totally agree.
They can't do anything.
Right. But you do have to realize that these numbers that I'm going to share with you about Larry Ogunjobi are helped by the presence of the
TJ Watt and
Yeah.
stuff. But this is a guy that he deemed too unhealthy to sign.
Correct.
So what was the unhealthy man able to do in Pittsburgh?
All right. Well, he has been contributing at a fairly high level. He only has a half a sack for the season, but he has 5 tackles for loss.
Derrick Henry just broke a huge run, but anyway.
I love watching that guy play.
Oh, he's
Jeez.
a beast.
But he's been getting a lot of tackles. So
Flag, it's holding. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bring it back. So, for instance, against Tampa Bay, Ogunjobi has 3 tackles. Against Cincinnati Bengals, he had 3 tackles. Against the Colts, he had 3 tackles. Against the Falcons, he had 4 tackles. Against the Carolina Panthers, he had 3 tackles. Against the Raiders, he had 3 tackles. So he's been contributing in a way.
We could have used him.
We could have definitely, maybe not at that kind of money, though. That's the issue. So the question is, after they found out that there were some concerns regarding the ankle, should Poles have gone back and say, listen, you got some issues. Why don't you sign a 1-year prove-it deal?
Which is what Pittsburgh did with him.
Exactly. But at that point, did Larry Ogunjobi maybe entertain that and ultimately say, fuck you? You guys promised me this. I ain't fucking going back to you guys no matter what you offer me. So that was a big moment in the Bears season. When that happened, and plus with the Mac trade, I was like, oh, fuck.
And his first press conference,
Mm-hmm.
and combine that with his first free agent acquisition,
Mm-hmm.
or, alleged free agent acquisition, not off to a good start. Ryan Poles. Sorry.
Yeah, indeed. All right. So the next big moment is August 9th. We all remember that day. It was the day the Chicago Bears were hosting Family Fest, and Roquan Smith sent out a tweet saying, "This ain't my fucking family. I want out." It's like, what the fuck, dude?
And blame the organization. And it seemed that he wanted all the fans to rally behind him and support him. And that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever people want to say about, the Jaguars just got to pick. For what everyone thinks about the Bears and they're terrible and whatnot, and they suck, and they've made the playoffs 4 times since FDR was president or whatever. It's not that bad. But us, the fans, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe tomorrow everyone's not going to be there, but the team, the fans believe in the team, even if we know they're not as good as we hope. But we're loyal, man. We're fucking loyal. So most Bear fans are going to side with the Bears over Roquan.
Indeed. And what do you think? Hindsight being 2020, do you think that the Chicago Bears should have held on to Roquan Smith and made him one of the highest, if not the highest paid weak side linebacker in the National Football League of America?
Rewind the tape, to use a cliche. Go back to one of our shows where we're talking about it. I'd like to think that I was right on this one because I was like, man, I don't know if Roquan's top 3 and he's going to want like $24 million a year. I was like, I don't know. I'd like for him to get re-signed, but not at that price point.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I'm being completely honest. I think I'm bearing my soul. I think Roquan was just like Allen Robinson. I think it's somebody, as Bear fans, we inflated. We wanted to be better than what he was. And he wasn't worth that money. And as the story goes, the allegation was that after we beat New England and looked so good, Ryan Poles makes the trade for Chase Claypool. And it's like, all right, maybe we can make a run at this. And then he saw the next week in Dallas how flat the defense was, and specifically how flat that Roquan was and how slow Roquan looked and how he wasn't hustling. So as the story goes, after he watched him just stand around in Dallas, he's like, fuck it, trade him. So if there's any validity to that report, I get it. It's like he represents himself. He obviously doesn't like Ryan Poles. He's besmirched him in the media numerous times,
Indeed.
before and after the trade, and a lot after the trade. And I don't think the guys liked each other. They didn't trust each other, and I don't think he proved himself in a 4-3 system. He'd played in 3-4, and the GM didn't like him, man, and offered him some money he thought was fair. The guy doesn't want it. He's going to the press to talk shit. I mean, this guy's a headache.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is a girlfriend that you think has good pussy, but you don't even want to watch a movie with her. Like, you don't want to be an asshole and use her, so you make the trade. Like, I can't be with you. You give great head, but, you know, I don't want to use you just for your vagina. So we got to move you. We got to get somebody else in here that I like.
I think you were projecting there.
Yeah, what women do to me. You're right. You're right. At least they're telling me that my vaginal eating skills are on point, and my medium dick energy's okay, but they don't want me because I'm too heavy or too pale or too poor or whatever, man. I'm projecting myself. You're right.
That's good. All right. So the next big thing that happened, and this was probably the best news of not only the season, but perhaps the century. And that was when Ted Phillips announced that this was going to be his last season. So, I mean, come on, you got to be happy. I mean, this is even better than Matt Nagy leaving.
I don't know, because we don't know how much Ted Phillips actually does on a day-to-day basis. He helped get the last stadium when the Bears were talking about moving to Gary, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the fact that they're going to be moving to Arlington Heights is a part of his settling for small, like the stadium being small and all that, and looking like a spaceship and all that shit that we hear as a result of his ineptitude. But if Ted were here, he'd say, guys, I was here in 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 90, 91, all of those are playoff appearances. I was there in 94. I was there in 01. I was there in 05. I was there in 06. I was there in 10 and 18 and 20. All those are playoff appearances you're not attributing to me or my leadership, especially during the 80s. He was working there, But how much he was at fault for it, we'll never know. I think you told me when I said that I thought the Bears should fire Alan Williams, that maybe I was making him a scapegoat, and possibly that's true. But I think maybe as Bear fans, we make Ted Phillips a scapegoat.
All right. Well, that's
but maybe he does suck and needs to go.
Yeah.
At the very least, it was optimistic to get somebody else in the building. I concur. I can acquiesce to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, he has been with the Bears organization. This is according to Windy City Gridiron. After joining the franchise in 1983, eventually being promoted to team president and CEO in 1999, the Chicago Bears should be moving on. The winning percentage over those 37 years, 21 of which he has spent as team president. Where's the number?
16-13 on the game.
Oh, right.
Tennessee leads with 14:49 to go in the fourth period.
Mm-hmm. The guy's writing a great article, but he's not telling me what the winning percentage is. So I'll continue to look. But the winning percentage has not been good. You got to admit, for a guy who has been with the organization for decades, yes, there were some playoff wins. Yes, but there were no Super Bowl wins.
Yeah, I'm just saying we always throw him under the bus for the bad things and don't acknowledge the good things is all I'm saying.
Right.
And by the way, real quick, since Santucci can't be with us and not feeling well, Trevor Lawrence looks like a person that Santucci would fuck in gay porn.
Well,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
I've got news for you. Take a look at the person in the middle of this picture. It's fucking Trevor Lawrence. Jeez.
I think maybe Tooch is sick and tired of this bit. That's what he's sick of.
I think you're right. I'm sorry, Tooch. All right. So let us move on from the Ted Phillips because I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, I am too.
No
honestly.
offense, but it's time for some new blood. And I really like this rumored guy, Warren, for
the Big East guy?
Big Ten.
Or Big Ten. I don't
yeah.
want to say Big East, Big Ten.
This guy's got a great story. I shared this on Buffon 55. When he was a kid, he was riding his bike. He got run over by a car. He couldn't walk. And the doctor says, you may never walk again. Well, what can I do? The youngster asked. And the doctor said, if you need to go to the swimming pool every day and get into the water and try to walk and rehabilitate yourself that way. He told his dad, can you take me to the swimming pool every day so I can get my legs working again? His dad built him a swimming pool out in the backyard. And this kid, 2 years later, was playing high school football. So that tenacity, that discipline, self-discipline, to want to achieve, to want to do things is fantastic. He goes on to a number of pro football teams, but more importantly, over with the Vikings, and helps them with the building of their stadium, the First Bank Stadium, which is one of the nicest stadiums in the National Football League,
which we may see next season,
which we are planning on seeing next season. So, I mean, I can go on and on about.
Let me interrupt with Zach Sullivan. I don't know if you saw the report today, Zach, but Denver apparently is about to hire Sean Payton, and they don't owe the Saints any fucking compensation, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's what that's what I've said before. Denver hired the guy from Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares what his name is? I can't think of it. What difference does it make? Hackett. He couldn't hack it. So they got rid of him, even though it was his first season.
Mm-hmm.
They admitted their mistake with that. And now they're going to get Sean Payton. I'm not saying I wanted Sean Payton necessarily, but maybe that's what we should have done, because Matt Eberflus doesn't seem to give a fuck in his press conferences. He's dead, man. He's like dead in bed. Mm-hmm. And he's afraid to even fuck without a condom. He's like, oh, that's too fucking scary for me. It's just like he's so safe. He plays everything so safely. Like, remember that punt when Santos was like, oh, I don't want to try it from right there. That kick is too. So from the 31-yard line, we punted for the first time probably in the 103 history of the Chicago Bears. Even like Abe from like 72. What was his name? The big Abe guy?
Abe Gibran.
Yeah, I'm sure Abe Gibran didn't punt from the fucking 31-yard line for a net 7-yard punt or whatever it resulted in. So my point is, if he's not inspiring hope or change or making any adjustments at the half, maybe we should have gotten rid of Eberflus the way Denver did their guy, and maybe we're hiring Sean Payton.
Yeah, but the thing is the Broncos have a lot more talent than Eberflus has, and so forth. But we'll talk about that more
at the end. I got it.
Yeah, September 11th is the next big date on the article here by Dan Wiederer. He says the Bears opened the Eberflus era with a rain-soaked 19-10 upset of the San Francisco 49ers, and for me personally, this was one of the happiest moments of probably this century. The Bears beating the 49ers, who everybody thought, was a sure thing.
And it looked like it in the first half. They were dominating us defensively. That safety was coming up, and we couldn't even get a half yard running the ball.
Montefoya, whatever the fuck his name is, but he was cleaning our clocks.
And we couldn't make any adjustments.
Well, yes, well. But the team kept fighting and kept fighting and kept fighting, and they got some breaks and whatever. The team won, and all of a sudden, we just all went after the national media and saying, fuck you, we told you we're not as bad as you said we were, and so forth. But unfortunately, the Ryan Post continued to dismantle the team by trading Quinn and then Roquan Smith. So, but it was a great day. 9/11 2022 was a great day. And
Fields had that iconic moment where he slid in the water.
That's one of the most favorite moments in Chicago Bears history. It has to be Justin Fields water surfing on the turf of Soldier Field. All right, let's see what he's got next here. October 24th. What happened? The Bears went to Foxborough and blew out Bill Belichick's New England Patriots.
Yeah. And if you listen to the show the 2 nights later, I was just like, I couldn't believe that was the first time in years where the defense looked tough. I don't mean just tough. It looked like every time they hit someone from the Patriots, they got hurt. Mm-hmm. They looked like they were suddenly becoming like bullies again or some shit. I was so inspired by the fact that they just knocked – the Bears had never won in New England, had never won in the state of Massachusetts ever. And they went there and just dominated defensively. And who would have thought we wouldn't win another game the rest of the season? I remember Ditka saying that in 89. He was complaining about Donald Wolford, and he was like, shit, we may not win another game. And, of course, they started 4-0 and finished 6-10. They didn't win another game when he said that. Mm-hmm. And it looks like we're not going to win another game. So again, that's another thing. If you hired the right coach, Matt Eberflus had a 2-1 record. If we lose tomorrow, we will have lost 10 straight games, which is, again, an all-time. He's already created the worst losing streak in the 103-year history of the Chicago Bears, that being 9 games right now, possibly 10. But in theory, again, we were 2-1. So we've lost 12 of 13. So you're telling me that's not a fireable offense?
No. I do agree.
It feels like this could be Matt Nagy getting another chance at 2021 to me.
I do agree that there have to be some changes to the coaching staff, but I do think that the head coach is safe.
Oh, he's safe. You heard his I listened to your post game last Sunday. He's safe. Because when you brought the Eberflus press conference on, he's safe because he was didn't give a shit about the loss. You talk about complacency.
That really pissed you off, right?
It did, because it felt like Matt Nagy, the game that stood out, you and I both talked about, when we lost to the Saints in the playoffs in 2020, and his job was supposedly on the line. Matt Nagy smiling and showing off his bald head and acting like he just got his dick sucked in the locker room. But in theory, if I'm reading between lines, maybe I'm connecting dots that aren't there. I'm fairly certain he was so happy in that presser because he was told he's coming back.
Yeah.
And so he didn't care about the loss.
I think he has known, Eberflus has known that he's getting a pass this season because the talent wasn't there. But I also think he's going to be held accountable for the poor performance by the defensive line and by other position areas, and that those position coaches will be gone. I think there's going to be some changes in the Bears.
Let's hope Alan Williams is one of them. My God,
he's a
coordinator. And that passing team coordinator / offensive line,
Janoko.
Yeah, and the defensive line coach, he's got to go too. The worst defensive line in the history of the team. Jesus, these guys can't do anything. They can't get a sack. They can't get a pressure. They can't force a fumble. They can't stop the run. What are they there for? And if they can't do anything, why don't you make substitutions? There's got to be somebody, a Jack Sanborn type, on the practice squad that's going to at least give you effort. Somebody that's like, coach, put me in, give me my opportunity. Just let me show you what I can do instead of putting the same 4 out there every week to do nothing. But they're happy with doing nothing. I'm completely bought in to they want to lose. They're tanking. And I bet you Kyler Gordon doesn't play tomorrow. We know Fields isn't playing tomorrow because they don't want to win tomorrow. But that's how inept the Bears have been. They'll try to lose tomorrow and they'll fucking win. Because Nathan Peterman is playing for a job. David Montgomery is playing for a contract. Like, these guys aren't out there to look stupid tomorrow and just fucking lay down. They're playing for their future here, man. So if you told me that Peterman come out and played better than we ever expected and David Montgomery was running the rock hard, why wouldn't he? So I could see the Bears, Minnesota maybe going. It's not like they need to win. Maybe they'd like to be the second seed, but
They do need to win because they've got an opportunity to be the number 1 overall seed.
Oh, the number 1. I thought San Francisco was.
I thought Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh yeah, well, San Francisco or Philadelphia, the 1 and 2. I thought. Anyway, the point being, Minnesota's in the playoffs.
Right. I think the game is important to the Vikings because they'll get a home game in the first round of the playoffs. And I thought maybe they had a chance for the number 1 overall seed, but probably I'm wrong on that.
And what if like Kirk Cousins would take a big hit? I doubt it because, we can't get any pressure, but would they take him out if he took a huge shot just to save him? I bet.
Kevin O'Connell has said that they are going to start all their starters, but they are going to keep an eye on them and try to rest them as much as possible. So that's the word on the Vikings.
So, see, they're not playing all out like, oh, we've got to win this.
Right.
So if a team that's already knows by definition, their coach has said, we're kind of taking this game easy. We hope to win because the Bears suck. So that's a trap game. the possibility of a trap game. So
Possibility, right?
possibility, like if they're not going to be playing and firing all sudden, our quarterback might not play the whole game, then the Bears could sting them, man. Come up, and because at some point, even the snakes got to fucking eat, you know.
Indeed.
And we come up and we bite you, you know.
The next date in Dan Wiederer's column of 10 important dates in the 2022 season year for the Bears was October 24th, and I said that one. October 26th, 2 days later.
Was that the Roquan trade?
The Robert Quinn trade.
The Robert Quinn was
2
first.
days after that big win. This is one that really riled up Mike North. He says, wait a minute, you just won a big game against one of the AFC's best teams, and you're trading away the one guy on the defensive line that other teams have to account for? What are you doing? And Mike had a very good point.
He did.
Why not wait? There was still another week to the trade deadline. Why not wait till then? And then if you win 2 in a row, then maybe you say, well, fuck it. You know, maybe we got a chance at the playoffs. But it was clear that this was a tank season. This is what Ryan Poles said about trading Quinn. He says, the locker room, I've talked about this a lot. The locker room and what it means and the culture, it sucks to mess with that, to be completely honest with you. But again, my job is to do what's best for the organization, not only now, but in the future. I felt like it was the best move for us to make. He was wrong about one thing. It's not the best move now. You're not getting a player back. How can this help? Was Robert Quinn a locker room nuisance? No, he was a great guy. How can this help you now?
Maybe, and this is conjecture, but maybe Poles is a guy that is like, oh, okay, I see you in the spring. I see you not showing up for OTAs. I see you holding out, a hold in, whatever, and is vindictive. He's like, oh, you want to show me up at my first year? I'll get rid of you. Mm-hmm. Same thing with you, Roquan. You don't want to resign, talk shit about me in the press? Have at it, Hoss.
It's interesting. Very interesting. All
Maybe
right,
he's a vindictive asshole.
Maybe he is. If he is, then let's fire him as soon as possible. Now, you're going to love this next date that he listed, and I'm just going to tell you the date, and you tell me what happened.
Okay.
Because this is a softball. November 6th.
That's the game I was at. Yeah, that's the Chase Claypool debut game.
Mm-hmm. But the significance of it was that in that 35-32
we got cheated by the fucking officials there at the end.
But Fields rushed for 178 yards, a single game regular season record for an NFL quarterback.
And I got out of my seat when he scored that touchdown, and I was yelling at everybody. The ex-girlfriend, you, the other Dan, Kitty, Dan's cousin. I was telling everybody, he's the best player on the team. He's magnificent. He's magnificent.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest. And we were all fucking so bummed out that we lost that game. But the performance by Fields and the Bears offense gets credit too. You know, they fought minute by minute with this great Dolphins.
Remember, I couldn't look. Remember, every time I would put my head down, I can't watch on third down. Like 4 straight third downs or fourth downs, I didn't watch, and the Bears got stops when I didn't watch.
That's right. So I told him, stop watching on these third down plays.
I can't see it. And then I'd be like, what happened? What happened?
That's right. It was a fun fucking day. One of the most fun days that I had as a Chicago Bears fan, because I was there with some good buddies, the other Dan, this Dan, their family and friends. And so it was just a fucking great time. All right, those were his 10 dates. Do you want to add any other dates that were significant for the Chicago Bears in 2022?
Yeah, there's the day of that Minnesota game, because if the touchdown that Justin had that day, which was negated by a bullshit penalty. I mean, even the official or the announcers at that time said, oh, I didn't see one there. I'm sure it was probably Daryl Johnston. It feels like we've had Moose like 12 times this year. But the significance of that play, if that had counted, he will have already exceeded Jackson and had the all-time rushing record, yardage record. Because that was over 50 yards, and what's he, 40-some short?
That is so true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that run would have given him the record regardless of playing tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
And look at those. Because all season long, the other Dan and I early were saying the Bears could make the playoffs, and we thought that they would. But look at the games. They were in the Green Bay game.
Mm-hmm.
Justin scored on the goal line, and they didn't give it to us. So that was week 2. Let's see. The Giants game in week 4, if you got number 12 fumbling the fucking ball that cost us the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants are a playoff team, right? And we shouldn't have lost to them.
Right.
We go to Minnesota. We got the guy that we got from them, Smith Marset, not even on the team anymore, fumbling, giving the ball back. We lose that game. And then the Washington game. You know how bad that was on Thursday Night Football.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's like they dominated the first half, completely dominated, and still had like 6 points or whatever. And Fields misses that wide open touchdown to Ryan Griffin, which some people blame Griffin running. But look, he's a pro quarterback, and I love Fields. I got 4 jerseys from Fields, all right? But he should have made that throw. It was simple. That's his weakest link right now is he can't make the easy, simple throw, whether it be 5 yards, 4 yards, or that bubble screen that they call incessantly. He just can't make those throws. But he could have won the Giants game, the Redskin game, or I'm sorry, the Commanders game, and the Vikings game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what happens at the end of the Washington game? Another fumble by number 12. Another fumble. It's just like, what? I mean, every time he touched the ball, bad things happen until he showed up and had that big reception, which I'm happy for him. Maybe that sparks him in the right direction. But if you got those wins early on, there's a chance the whole season's kind of flipped. The Miami game, we were cheated in. The officials admitted we were cheated on the blown call with Claypool.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things kind of would have rewritten Justin Fields' season,
Right.
even if we're saying he needs to improve as a passer. But, man, he came through in the clutch against Miami and Washington and the Giants and Minnesota, leading these drives. Or how about Detroit? Maybe we beat Detroit if Santos would stop watching fucking porn all night and practice missing field goals or extra points, rather. He can make a short field goal, can't make a long field goal, but can't make an extra point. He's missed like 6 of those this year. And you knew when he missed it, we were going to lose. And we lost 31-30 because of Santos' extra point.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, so you add all these together. Now, Detroit kicked our ass last Sunday, if Don's still with us, and they deserved that win. That was a thorough, unequivocal ass kicking. One of the worst I've ever seen. But they did not deserve to win at Soldier Field. At the very least, that's an overtime game. Maybe they win then too. But all these things combined make Justin Fields' season even better. And they should have been better. But the only thing that made 22 salvageable, that made us have any fucking fun at all and enjoy what we were doing, talking about it, was Justin Fields.
Hugh says 100% agree with you, Dan. That's why you are his guy, and that's why he's my guy too. I got to tell you, you mentioned during that great rant there.
I'm sorry.
No, I love rants. I pay for rants. Actually, I don't pay you, but
that's okay. You don't have to.
You mentioned during that that Cairo Santos was watching porn, and
well, it was his birthday. Remember?
Yes, I actually have a list of the double features that he watched.
Oh God!
White Men Can't Hump. And the Texas Vibrator Massacre. Those are the 2 movies he was watching.
If you think about Leatherface, kind of sounds like a gay porn thing anyway.
Yes.
You know, the leather and like S&M and
no fucking hey.
Yeah, the mask is made out of leather. It just sounds like a dude that's going to savagely penetrate your orifices with a toy and his actual dick.
Oh Lord! All right, so
now Zach Sullivan's right on that. Like there were some moments where he didn't come through in the clutch for sure, but early on in those games, it weren't his fault. But I do believe, who's that?
Ashley, a she slashy. 13,
Is this Ashley that likes the horror movies that used to be on the show last year?
I think it is.
Is that you, Ashley?
Ashley, type Y for yes, N for no. Thank you. beep.
I think I had her saved in my phone as Ashley Horror because she loved horror movies.
Yeah, really. If that's the case, give us 3 great porn titles and 3 great horror titles. Since you
She
have
says
that.
she owns the Texas one.
Exactly. She owns the Texas Vibrator Massacre.
That's got to be the Ashley that I knew. I didn't think she was still around, man.
Ashley, you want to come on the show? Are you?
She says maybe.
She says maybe. I'll send you a link. You have the link. No, you don't have the link. Can I send it to you and you send it to Ashley?
I don't know if it's still her number. The last thing I have for her, ironically, had a 69 in it. I don't know if it had a 69. I don't want to put her number on blast, you know. If that's her number.
Ashley Slashy. I'm not dating her. Hold on, man. Renewable. Ashley Slashy. If you want to stop on by the bar room, send Mr. Dan Aguirre a text.
Oh, she has a new number.
Okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
You should have his old number.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? I like that the guy's talking about Lovey. Like when Lovey was there, I on week 3, we beat Houston. And Fields had a terrible game that day, and Roquan saved the day with that pick. I had this nostalgia feeling that I was like, man, you remember? I felt like Lovey really missed being back when he was there, and I sort of miss Lovey being back. So, but I know Mike Martz was a head coach and then came back. It was a offensive coordinator for Lovey. I don't see Lovey coming back to the Bears as a DC. His ego is too, and that's not a shot at Lovey. Anybody's ego. The only time I can ever think of that is Gary Kubiak.
Yeah,
he was an offensive the head coach, and then came back as a coordinator.
And I think it's because they were friends.
And it was he loves Elway because he was his backup quarterback for years, and he had health issues. It didn't need the stress of being the overall head coach. But in that aspect, it's not unprecedented. But would I like to see Lovey come back and say, fucking, I'm running the defense. I know the cover 2 better than anybody. Then, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Lovey looks great in Bears gear.
He sure does.
I want him to shave that beard, though. That's a prerequisite.
Dan was wearing a very fashionable Bears starter jacket when he arrived to Chicago, and I posted a picture of it and him, and he got a lot of compliments on Twitter. And when we were seated here watching some old Super Bowl games, he shows me these pictures of Lovey Smith wearing these really cool jackets.
Lovey had this jacket in 2006 that he wore, if you all remember, in the NFC Championship game. If you don't remember the exact jacket, you could look it up. I had that exact jacket. And again, I had a family member. I'm going to keep this vague because I'm not going to disseminate libel stuff on an open airwave, but I had a family member steal me fucking blind. And when I was trying to help him, and one of those was that fucking coat from 06 that I loved, that Lovey also had, that I bought because Lovey had it. He stole that jacket from me, that son of a bitch.
All right, here's what we're going to do for the last, half hour of the show. If anyone wants to pop in and actually talk to Dan Aguirre, you don't have to talk to me, but I like.
Who wants to talk to me?
I like watching.
He's a voyeur. See, why is this our last show? I don't think it.
I think we're gonna have to do Saturday night shows.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be cool? Shoot me a tweet in the direct messages at Barroom Network. I'll put it up there on the screen, and I will send you the link, and then you pop in for a few minutes, say your hi, say your bye, and we'll get out of here because we got to wake up early for a Bears game tomorrow.
And you got the Mike North advantage.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I should have called Mike and said I can't do tomorrow. So at Barroom Network on Twitter, I will send you the link, and then you can pop in and swear at us, maybe you can persuade Dan to drop his trousers. I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
No, we don't need that.
The other Dan says the audience is here on a Saturday night. Yeah, you know what? He's right. Particularly during the winter, there's a fucking audience for a Saturday night barroom show.
Well, but you got to be honest. Early on, when we were like, "Oh, we're about to go live," you're like, man, there's 3 people waiting on us. And it was kind of a letdown. You're like, there's only 3 people waiting on us. It looks like it turned around though.
Yeah, it sure did. It's Saturday night. Let me check my Twitter and see if anybody has responded. Nobody has. Nobody wants to come on and talk to us. Well, fuck you all.
Almost spit out vodka. Can't do that.
And has anybody noticed that Butthole Surfers has been trending for most of the day in the United States?
And why is that?
Somebody asked the question: name a rock band that you wouldn't want their name to be. I don't know what it was. Can't find it. What the fuck? I don't know.
You wouldn't want it to be a realistic situation.
Yeah.
In other words,
you don't want
to be a butthole surfer, because said butthole surfer could be with a guy.
Bare Truth.
That happened on the White. Was it the White Lotus? The first season. The guy that runs the hotel,
yes.
They open the door and he's eating that other guy's ass. And then later he shits on the guy's clothes. You see the turds coming out his ass.
That was a great special effect, man.
Oh, well, I thought maybe he really defecated.
No.
He had tacos,
There are strict laws now, so that when you are doing a scene like that where you're eating somebody's asshole, you've got to have a protective cover.
Oh, no, I knew he wasn't literally eating his ass, but I thought he really shit. Maybe.
Yeah, I got to believe that was CGI. I don't believe that anybody was going to.
Well, you remember that movie way back when, The Cross-Dresser?
Yeah.
What was that called? What was her, Divine? When she ate
The-
dog shit on
yes.
that John Waters movie?
That was real.
Pink Flamingos?
Yes.
She literally ate a dog. The dog defecates and she picks it up and eats the shit. God damn. Look, I've eaten pussy on the rag,
Yes.
but I don't eat shit. God, oh fucking mighty.
The other day there was a column in Variety, the 100 best movies of all time. And so I'm scrolling through it, and there's the typical great movies, Citizen Kane, and Manchurian Candidate, all these great films. And there it is, the fucking Divine eating shit Pink Flamingos movie. And I read why. He goes, this is one of the greatest comedic performances of all time. When Divine ate that shit, what other comedian would do something like that for their art? I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, it's a weird and fun movie, but I wouldn't call it one of the 100 best movies of all time. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that's so old, they probably couldn't fake it,
Yeah.
Because what was that, like 73 or 72?
It was early 70s, yes.
Oh, God. That was at the end of the movie, and I think it's playing that song that Fergie Clumsy was sampled from, like where it's like, girl can't help it, she can't help it, she's just gonna eat a pile of dog shit. If you all haven't seen it, you probably don't want to see it if you haven't already.
Renewable says that the downside of anal play is the shit.
God.
Stephen Me says the butthole surfering is Aaron Rodgers' favorite pastime.
With that Kevin guy.
We ought to get Kevin on the show.
We should.
Yeah, or a Kevin imposter. I'll settle for that.
At the worst case scenario, if he thinks we're gay bashing, which we're not, we can hook him up with Tooch. I'm kidding.
Right now, Tooch is listening on his deathbed.
He's like, I'm so sick of the Ron Jeremy jokes. And now he's Ron Jeremy because he can't stay awake. He's falling asleep. Like Jeremy in that interview.
Yes. The other Dan says, Bare Truth. Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls is now becoming Bare Their Souls with Dan, Aldo, Nomad, the other Dan, and don't forget the Tooch. So that is what's happening Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central. We're playing around with some logos. Let me show people what I come up with. Maybe they can give us.
Are you going to show the dick one?
Yes, of course. Who do you think I am? Okay, so
fumble.
Oh,
touchdown.
Oh, no.
If it's a live play, Jacksonville just scored and took the lead. So you can still show the dick, but I just see touchdown on the screen and a 19-16 lead with an extra point pending.
Right.
If it was Santos, he'd miss it here.
This is awesome. All right. So everyone who has joined us live, I need you to put down whatever you're doing and give me your opinion on the logos that I'm going to share to you. Okay. So let me get rid of this comment from DOD. All right. So first off, here's the first logo treatment for the new Bare Their Souls show. Barroom Network on the top, Bare Their Souls, circular, and then the tagline, Bears, Sex, and Flicks. So this is number one, people. Tell us how you feel about number one. Now, these are all similar because I was just fucking around and decided to do these real quick while we were in the meeting. So does anybody notice anything about this particular logo that they might think is kind of fishy? Fishy, get it? Fishy.
It was in a vagina.
That is indeed a vibrator in the middle.
Touchdown stands. It is 20-16 Jacksonville.
Nice
With
vote,
the division on the line.
indeed.
Unlike Kurt Gowdy, I'm telling you the story.
We got to tell them that story first. But first, let's talk about this. So the depth is very, very, very good. He quickly detected that was a vibrator. What are you doing on Friday nights all by yourself? The depth is you and your vibrator. Ashley Slashy says, I do not what? Oh,
I guess she doesn't see the dick or the dildo.
You don't see the dildo. Okay. Well, we've got other logos. Now, this one is more traditional. I can't believe that Ashley Slashley or whatever just quit talking to me. What is that all about? Yeah, well, she got a new phone and she did not transfer your phone number over. So.
That hurts my fucking feet. No, it doesn't. It's okay. It's all good.
So this one has the traditional microphone on it. So we'll call this one number 2. And on the bottom, instead of sex, we got bears, STDs, and flicks.
God, I have no STDs, thankfully.
I had one, but we won't talk about
that bastard that stole my Lovey Smith jacket has herpes. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding on my mom's grave.
Jesus.
He has the herpes, and I'm so glad that's not me. Fuck it. He can have my jacket. So don't give me the herpes.
I'm not going to talk about my STD because Hodges, who works with my daughter, might tell her. Hey,
oh, my goodness. But you got to bare your souls. It's the last show.
Yeah, okay.
Just as long as it wasn't the herpes. Don't say it if you got that shit.
No, it was penile warts, so all over my dick.
Oh my God.
That was when I was 20.
That must have been terrifying.
It fucking was.
How did it clear up?
I went to the doctor and she gave me orders to rush to the hospital and have them burned off.
Burned off?
Yes.
Like with no, that can't be like with a cigarette lighter. What do you mean burned off?
It was some laser thing, and they went in there and fucking zapped them.
Oh my goodness! So it was like you fucked a girl with HPV, I guess.
I don't know what the fuck she had, but whatever it was, she gave it to me. All right, here's logo number 3, and so you will notice the microphone is pointed down and looks a lot like Dan's penis.
My penis is okay, but let's not overinflate it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I'm bringing the medium dick energy.
And then finally, in honor of Nomad, who was on the show, we decided to try this penis out. And Nomad, of course, said, that's too fucking small. So there you have it. This is number 1, the vibrator. Number 2, the traditional microphone. Number 3, the flaccid penis. And number 4, an erect small black penis. Send in your votes now.
Maybe that's a biracial penis.
That's right. By the way, I'm tired of people thinking I'm white. Oh. Inside joke.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like, well, let's let Ashley Slashy choose the logo. Ashley Slashy, if you're still there, do you like number 1? Do you like number 2? Do you like number 3? Or do you like number 4?
You ask her if she likes the number 2. What? You think she's divine from Pink Flamingos?
No. Was she ever on camera when you did that show with her? That was just an audio podcast, right?
I don't recall. She hung out. We talked a bunch of like horror movie shit.
Yeah, it was on the Mixler
in
channel,
like 2021.
Right? I have
no, I meant like on the phone and stuff or whatever.
Oh, I thought she was on the show with
you.
Yeah,
no, she was in the chat room and stuff with us.
I gotcha.
But yeah, she just disappeared. I guess she got a guy, at the time, which is okay, whatever.
Adeptus likes number 2 first, number 1, number 4, and then number 3. Let's see what other people are saying. The other Dan likes the vibrator, and we knew that about you the other day. Renewable loves the vibrator. Let's put it back up on the screen here. I mean, I love the vibrator because a lot of people are going to think it's a microphone, but it's not. It's a vibrator. It's a really cool looking vibrator. We should manufacture those and sell these.
Marilyn Manson has a vibrator with his face and shit on a dildo.
Are you serious?
I swear, it goes for $100 a piece.
Adeptus says that my neon sign is the best sign. I should just go back to the Bears bar room. Okay, so Ashley picked number 4. Ashley, let's put up number 4 again. She likes this.
That's why she quit talking to me. Damn it. Damn it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Stephen Me wants a Polish sausage in the middle of the logo. That's not a bad idea. Polish sausage.
Like one of the ones Chris Farley would have eaten on the SNL sketch for the super fans.
Zach is asking me about the Mike North show open to that bubbly music. Yeah, I was under pressure to put together a quick new open because of the title change, because of the sponsor and so forth. And so I tried to do like a takeoff on 1970s comedy shows, and so I found some music. Yeah, it's getting old real quick. We need to go back to the old one. I totally agree with you. Ashley Slashy says, I didn't get a guy, but she got a cat. So she has traded away penis for pussy.
Well, I've got cats too.
That's right. How many cats do you have?
I don't want to talk about it.
1 or 2?
The other Dan and I have a kinship that no one will understand about cats. Unfortunately, not about pussy in that regard, but actual cats. So I'm going to just digress there.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find that Marilyn Manson dildo.
Yeah, given all the allegations against him, I don't know if that's still for sale. I mean, it might be in bad taste. No pun intended. It would be in bad taste, whatever hole you put it in.
All right. This is now really intriguing me, because if we go with that vibrator design, I could see us getting the name on the show printed on a vibrator, and we could probably sell some of those things. You're laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. Where's my fucking...
What would Mrs. Gandia say about that purchase? We're buying a truckload of dildos that bear their souls on it and looking to sell them for $50.
Mrs. Gandia would be saying, pack your shit and get the fuck out of here. All right, here's I did find,
but Tooch would want some free ones, like for
of course.
Leave Tooch alone, man. He's getting tired of this Ron Jeremy shit.
I think he secretly likes it. He just doesn't want his employer to find out that he was in the porn movie industry.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, here it is. This is the Marilyn Manson vibrator. Have you seen this before, Dan Aguirre, or you just heard it?
I knew a couple of fans that said they wanted it. I mean, I couldn't give a fuck about it, honestly, but I saw it whenever it came out. I didn't look at it again,
I think this is awesome. We get vibrators made out of your image, Dan.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Hold on a second. Check this out.
Somebody's talking about cat tongues are like sandbag. How would you know that?
Check this out. What do you think?
No, nobody wants that.
The Dan Aguirre dildo.
Nobody wants that.
Come on, man. I would buy one.
I'm not Zac Efron. I'm self-aware.
I have bobblehead dolls. Why not a bobblehead Dan Aguirre?
Are you saying the bobblehead dolls are like a chicken head girl?
Yes. Oh, that would be really, really fun. All right, let's see what people. Nobody wants to be on the show with us. Wait a minute, 6 people. Wait a minute. Who are these people?
We need to screen these calls.
Oh, since Jesus. Hold on. Except we bumped into each other at the Bears-Dolphins game. Since then, I heard your very nice comments on the podcast.
Oh, is that the lady that you met?
Yes.
Oh,
my gosh.
that was the coolest thing. I had just met Bears fan. What's his name? The Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Bear man.
Yeah. Bear fan.
Bearman.
Bearman. Yeah.
And that's right. Either right before or right after you met that lady. And I was like, man, that makes Aldo's day. It should. It should. She stopped you and was like, I know you from the podcast.
But I got to tell you that I hope she's not listening to this show.
Oh,
she's a fan of the Greg Gabriel and Aldo show. It's not the Greg Gabriel and Aldo show. It's called the GTF, Gabriel Talks Football. And she was very complimentary. She goes, I don't listen to any other podcast because it's all about middle-aged men whining about the Bears. And so if she's listening to this, she's gonna write me another message and say, "I'm blocking you."
Aldo, I don't like how I heard that guy say he ate pussy on the rag, and then you're talking about putting his image on dildos, and you're talking about your co-host, one of your co-hosts in gay porn. What's happened to this show?
Yes.
I think you will have alienated this fan.
Oh my God. I got to write her back. That was a very sweet message she just sent me. So I think we are going to have somebody jump in. Michael H., I sent you the link, and so hopefully you can jump on and talk to us. If anybody else wants to spend a few minutes with us, let's try to pull the plug at 10:30 on this. 11:30 Eastern, and so we'll have about 15-20 minutes to talk to people before Dan and I close the show with a tongue kiss.
I don't know about all that. Now, I'm not homophobic, but the other Dan has kissed me.
Really? Where?
It was at that restaurant we went to after the game.
Where did he kiss you?
It was on the head of my penis. No, it was on my face. And he had a beard, and like the beard touched me, and that made me feel awful. I gotta be honest. I don't like beards, man. I shave, and if women grew beards, I would just be asexual.
Ashley Slashy won't come on because she says I look like trash. No life for me. Ashley Slashy, is there a part of your body that doesn't look like trash?
No, man. She's
just kidding.
She's got some cool tattoos, man.
Oh, can you just come on and with the tattoo, like put the tattoo right close to the screen or stuff like that? Maybe that would work. No. All right. What else? I've got one last question. What is he going to miss most about this show, Dan?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, I don't want to get sappy too much at the end because the conversation will bring it down. But the title is Bare Their Souls. So we've gone through a myriad of emotions, whether that be good, bad, or like, it's a forum that allows us to talk about whatever's bothering us or whatever's making us happy. And so in a lot of ways, it's cathartic. It's like therapy somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
And, hell, with a bunch of other men on the show, I can't be like, well, let me tell you what's bothering me today. And then, make Nomad or the other Dan or even Tooch feel bad. So, or uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So I will miss that aspect. It feels like a safe space to bare our souls. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's actually going to hold up.
Well, I think it will, because I will demand it out of you. I mean, Dan has shared with us some fucking incredible stories of his past. And they're not just all sexual related, but he's talked about his personal life and stuff. One of my favorite moments is when we were having a discussion about race, and Dan got really fucking angry because somebody accused him of not being able to relate to black people.
Right. And I grew up in a fucking neighborhood where it's 50-50. And I went to a school that was 50-50. So it's like, I got so upset. Like people are just projecting what they think they know about me. Mm-hmm. Like that. Now, if you said that about, maybe Asian Americans, maybe that would be true because I didn't go to a school with Asian Americans. Like we didn't have any Asian Americans, none. Now I had them in college, men and women of every ethnicity at university, but in high school, we were probably like 50-50 black and white, and anybody else spilling over was at like 1%. I mean, it was, but I definitely had no problems with black people in any way.
Well, but I think that the point people were trying to make is that there is a big difference between having light skin and dark skin. And you may have grown up in a situation with with black people, and that would give you a really understanding of what black
It
people
was the
go
same socioeconomics is what I'm trying to say.
Right. But a lot of black people are judged just simply by the color of their skin. You know, they walk into a store and all of a sudden the security guard.
I agree with that, and I agreed with you on the things with law enforcement, and you know the whole. Again, I don't want to get defensive on this. I agree. Like, I'm not one of these white guys that's like, what do you mean Black Lives Matter? It's all lives. I'm not saying that shit. You know, like, I get it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, let's bring in a black person to counter what you're saying. Michael H., how are you?
How you guys doing? Congrats on the show.
Thank you very much. Mike, you're not black, right?
No.
I could tell by the tone of your voice.
That's racist.
You sound like a privileged white guy.
Jacksonville is victorious and are AFC South champions.
Oh, look at that.
20-16.
Celebrate, everybody. Mike H.
You know, I was hoping the Bears would go like 9-8 right now and be kind of fighting like how these guys are.
Yeah, I saw your chat message earlier in the show that you were hoping that the Bears would be the Jags of the season. 4 months ago, you were hoping that. Did I get that right?
Yeah. I mean, and the way Detroit's playing too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we'd be around that kind of area, kind of like fighting for the wild card, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
it is how. Where would you list this among the most disappointing seasons of your life following the Chicago Bears?
I mean, have the Bears ever gotten the first pick before? You know, like
the
Bears
Bears Terry Bradshaw.
That's right.
I think that was a coin flip.
That was indeed a coin flip. Yep.
Actually, I went to a Bears-Pittsburgh game in 2013 in Pittsburgh. And,
Sunday night game where Jay threw that big pass to Brandon Marshall that set up a comeback victory on Sunday Night Football.
Yep. And there was a fumble return by Briggs had a big game. And who else? The DN we had at the time.
The DN.
Peppers.
Oh, Julius.
The game-winning touchdown was in the far left end zone to Earl Bennett.
Yes,
he's dragging his feet. They called it incomplete, reviewed it, and gave us a touchdown.
Damn.
I mean, that was a hell of a catch right there.
Yes,
that was probably his best highlight as a Bear.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember AB had his coming out game. Antonio Brown, he had 2 touchdowns that game. And I mean, he was, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He was unstoppable, but the Bears pulled it out, you know?
Yeah.
So it was early in the season. And
it was week 3.
Yeah. So we were feeling good after that.
They were 3-0 the first 3 games of Mark Trestman. They beat Cincinnati, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh. The first 3 games, 3-0 Mark Trestman, and they finished that year 8-8.
Unbelievable.
With the loss to the Packers there, we were that was terrible. I mean, McClellan was our draft pick, and you know, he sucked, but at least he paid for himself by hurting Rodgers that game.
Exactly.
And then we were like, hey, you know what we can do to Shea McClellan? We can give him Mike Singletary's number, even though no one's had it since Mike. And they gave it to Shea McClellan.
And he had Dan Hampton's number at a time, too.
Did, at least 99 had been used a bunch. 50 hadn't been.
Is there any other Hall of Famers number this guy could have used? Let's see.
By the way, Thomas Gage, you better not unsubscribe to Bears Country Podcast. No, that's not how this works. You subscribe to Bears Country Podcast, you listen to and watch all of the material that they put out, entertaining material, but you also join those guys here on Tuesday nights, and that's the way we play this game. Mike, how long have you been following us?
It's hard to say. Probably about a year. I caught you guys, and then you guys did that show where you went over Lovey's whole career as a Bears coach, and I was like, "Holy shit, these guys fucking know their stuff, man."
This guy knows this.
It was like, man, dude, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Mr.
McGuire is very, very impressive.
I think that was a 2-week show. I think we did that in 2 weeks, broken down.
Indeed. I got to tell you, Mike, I spent the day with Dan Aguirre here in my man cave, and he brought with him some DVDs of past Super Bowls. And what he wanted to share with me primarily was Super Bowl IV, which was the Kansas City Chiefs.
Because I just got a color version of it.
Yeah, and it's a really, really good,
Nice.
good quality version of that game, which is very hard to find. Great game, interesting game, and Dan is. I didn't need to have the volume on because Dan is sharing all these stories, these backstories on players, on the broadcast team. He's offering critique and so forth. I wish I would have been rolling camera because that would have been so fascinating for other people to listen to. And then he also brought in two pregame shows from previous Super Bowls because his contention, and it's very difficult to argue with, is that those pregame shows from yesteryear were just much better produced than the Super Bowl pregame shows of today. Did I explain that well?
Yeah, and I was showing that it was super. I brought the whole game, but we only watched the pregame shows for Super Bowl 16 and 17, which were from the 81 and 82 seasons. Despite the fact that's almost 40 years ago, or I guess exceeds 40 now because 83. Yeah, so over 40 plus years, that their shows were geared toward football fans. And today they're all like vapid entertainment pieces. The shows are geared to the average person, catering to like a person that's not a football fan and just trying to make people laugh or whatever. Those old shows were for fucking football fans. They gave you knowledge. They were breaking down tape and shit and talking about strategies. It was straight for people that like football. And it was so this absolutely different, sharply different, that I wanted to share that with you just to see the distinction between the two.
Mike, how old are you? If I can ask.
I was born in 1980.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
Wow.
Me too.
Oh, sweet, dude. It's impressive you know all those old games like that. I mean, you know what's really cool though, dude? NFL films. I mean, we kind of grew up with that.
Exactly.
So you get the stories of a lot of those old players and old teams, and I mean, you'd be like, "Oh, it's pretty neat." They did a great job with that.
That was one of the things that stood out on those pre-games. Like, for example, Dick Enberg calls Super Bowl 17 earlier in the show. They're like, let's talk to Dick and hear his favorite Super Bowl memories. Like, there are no Super Bowl memories now. Nobody talks about since Steve Sable died. There's absolutely no history on the NFL Network, and they don't talk history. And no one that's born, it can be considered Generation Y, gives a shit about anything before they were born. They don't watch movies before they were born.
Yeah. Well, the Stables were real good storytellers, man.
Yeah,
and they did a great job with showing like different angles and stuff like that. And they just brought like a theatric type of pizzazz to football, really. And I mean, if you really like football and you watch that show, I mean, it was great.
Yeah, good stuff. By the way, Renewable is absolutely right. The owner of the Jazz does look like the wizard from the old Bozo Circus show.
Hey, I actually I grew up
in AEW wrestling.
That's it.
I grew up over by the Bozo show, so there you go.
Did you grow up over by Bradley Place?
I actually lived on Bradley Place. Yes, I did. 2000 block.
How cool is that? Did you ever attend a Bozo taping?
I was on it twice.
Whoa, nice.
This is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But,
wow. I was on once, and I forgot what year, but my buddy, a guy named Gary Porter, got selected for the fucking the ball thing where you throw the ball and you win these prizes.
Bozo buckets, yeah.
Yeah, the Bozo buckets. I was so fucking jealous. I was like, and I'm trying to be magnanimous. Wow, it's cool. You won this bike and stuff, and I just wanted to steal it from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, one of the kids on my like little league Pee Wee baseball team, he actually won the Bozo bucket.
Wow.
And I see him the next day at school. I'm like, dude, holy shit. I was like, you're a Bozo? What are you doing there?
That is great.
That was pretty funny.
Mike, you got a question?
Yeah, you guys, I love the Bears just like you guys do. You know what? I think we are around a 500 team that just didn't get any breaks this year, and we kind of just didn't win any games.
That's a good way.
But I don't think we're as far out of it as a lot of people do, but we also have to make a lot of the right moves this offseason to really be where the Jags are next year, be where Detroit is right now. I think it's going to take like 5 or 6 players in the offseason, either free agents or draft picks. Like we got to hit on like 5 or 6 dudes to really turn it around here.
Mm-hmm. How big of a challenge do you think this Ryan Poles is facing? Do you think, let me give you 3 options. Do you think this is like almost an impossible challenge for him to build a contending team in 2023? Do you think there's a strong possibility, or do you think it's going to take 2 years of rebuilding for this team to contend for a playoffs, Mike?
We got the quarterback right now. I mean, you know what? That's an important part that we've really never had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say, but looking at it, I mean, he has to hit on a lot of players right now. We need at least 2 stud defensive linemen. We need at least 1 or 2 stud offensive linemen, and we need like 1 or 2 skill players.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's like, damn, dude, that's like 6 guys right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not easy to grab, but we do have a lot of money. Hopefully other teams that are like cash strapped have to like get rid of guys. They're going to have to find guys like Sanborn.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where we got to go right now to like be a contender next year.
Yeah. By the way, before we get you out of here, Mike, do you have a question for Dan Aguirre from a history standpoint, a trivia standpoint, that you have been desperately searching for an answer? Actually, not desperately searching, because you could probably Google and find it. I'm going to give you the human Google machine, Dan Aguirre. Go.
You know what, dude? I really don't, but I'd just say like our common love for the Bears is awesome. I think that's why we're all here. Mm-hmm. We all kind of just want to, we want the Bears to win, man. I was like 5 years old when the Bears won the Super Bowl.
Me too.
And that's like the first team I ever remember in my life. It was like, holy shit, those guys, they were like from everywhere, different colors. And I mean, they had different personalities and they all played their ass off. And I mean, they all came together and they got it done, and they were like the coolest team of all time. So it's like, we kind of, that's like in the Bears DNA. Yeah. So we got to get back to like cracking some heads right here on defense, and then like, supporting Justin Fields, man. So that's what we're gonna got to do here. So
love it, Mike. You said it perfectly. Dan, do you want to try Mike's ability to answer a trivia question?
Oh, I put him on the spot.
Go ahead. Come on.
We're just friends here.
Come on.
Hey, Aldo, I got a question for you, man.
Oh, okay.
Put you on the spot.
Is there any pincho stands left in Humboldt Park or what, man?
Yes, there are. Absolutely. There are, my cousin Victor Garcia, who owns the Papacalle restaurant on Division, during the summer, he will operate a pincho stand over in Humboldt Park. Follow where the softballs are, and he will be there with a stand. So that's the best place that I know of. But I'm sure there's more. So you've had them before, right, Mike?
Hey, it used to be $1, and you'd get like a pincho and a piece of bread, man. You had like $5, and you were fat and happy.
Fucking A. Good times, and plenty of beer to be found illegally in Humboldt Park. You're the man.
All right, guys.
Thanks
all the best, man. I love the show. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, and this won't be the only time. We'd love to have you back on. Okay.
Salute, guys. Have a good one.
Take care.
Be well, sir. Good talking with you.
All right. I think Ashley says that she is not, because she saw that you can call in. She might be interested in joining us. Ashley, I'm giving you another minute. So I'd be happy to send you the link, but you got to reach out to me. I sound like a pervert, right?
Yeah, you do. Remember, you're married. I am
happily married, dude. All right. I think it's time to pull the plug on this episode, our final episode. So kind of, I mean, we're probably, we say this is the final episode, but we might be doing another one next Saturday. I don't know. But we're definitely going to do more of these. But what we want you to know is that on Tuesday, you're going to have 5 guys who are highly, just like Mike H said, passionate Chicago Bears fans who want to talk about the game, who don't take themselves too seriously. It's not like we're going to come on here and say, fuck you if you don't agree with us, or, we know everything. No, we're just passionate Bears fans. And we're all going to share different takes. One of the things that we did in the design of this show, this new Tuesday night show is that we have a cross section of Bears fans, different ages, different opinions, and so forth. And that's what I like. You know, I don't want 5 guys who all agree with each
I
other.
want some 5 guys. The fucking the
hamburger.
no, not the burger, but those goddamn fries, the Cajun fries they have.
Yeah, you like that, huh?
Damn. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
By the way, I'm very disappointed in those hamburgers.
Yeah, they're okay. The Cajun fries are like, that's the shit, man.
I have not had those. But the burgers, I thought, wow, this is underwhelming.
The
An In-N-Out burger, In-N-Out burgers out west, that's the dope.
No, I've never been any farther than Illinois in terms of the West.
Oh.
I've never been in the Pacific or the Mountain Time Zone.
Well, we want to do a road trip next year. Are the Bears playing out west next season? They're playing in Denver, aren't they?
No, we went there in 19. That's the game that Eddie Pinheiro made the field goal and Zimmerman was at. So they'll be coming to Chicago.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look at the schedule. There's a game out west. We should go out there.
I thought we were going to try to go to Minnesota.
We are.
So we're going to try or fly everywhere.
2023 is the you have all these freaking flyer miles from flying to Chicago, right?
I don't know. Like every time I look at my app, I just say check in as guest. But I tried to create an account today, and it said it already existed. So
you got to find it.
I don't know.
Ashley Slashy doesn't know how to call in. Ashley Slashy, here's what I want you to do. Give me a private phone call. Just kidding. We'd love to have you on in the near future because we're going to pull the plug on this one, Ashley Slashy. So join us on Tuesday, and then I will get you the information. You can join the entire team or a feature.
And you can send me nudes. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I?
Or is he? Yeah, that's right. And we could talk horror movies because we love horror movies. What's your favorite horror movie, Dan Aguirre?
Probably The Shining.
Yeah. I'd say that's in top 3. The Exorcist, I think, is still holds up incredibly well. And I'd love to pick a movie from Ashley's generation because she looks like she could be my daughter's daughter.
No, I think she was born in the 80s, if I recall.
Oh, that's right.
Correctly.
She did say 80s. So.
Yeah, I think she was like 35 or something.
Yeah. So, yeah, JJ Rock, be careful who they hype.
Wow, I no comment on that. I don't want anybody to say we said this or that or whatever.
You can go ahead and tell them.
I don't have any heat with them. I don't want any heat with them.
I don't have any heat.
Well, maybe they're mad.
I don't with me.
I don't think they have any heat with me, but maybe I'm wrong.
TTLL hyped Dieter Iceland and he sucked. I don't know if Dieter Iceland sucked, but I don't know why they would be hyping him. What have they fucking seen of Dieter Iceland to hype? I mean, when he played against second and third stringers in preseason, that's not a really good reason to hype somebody. So Dieter Iceland is a great guy. We had him on years ago, and he sounds like a great guy, and he deserves an opportunity to play. And hopefully tomorrow we'll see him play 4 quarters of football. Wouldn't that be great, Dan Aguirre?
Will it be? If they're trying to lose, maybe.
Matthew says, let them bring heat. Hit the trunks for my man, Aldo. PJ just joining us, and we're leaving. PJ, you're late to the party, but here's the good thing. This show will be available on demand. And PJ, just to let you know, Tuesday when you join us on Bare Their Souls, we've got a whole new show mapped out with new co-hosts, Nomad, Mr. Shorty, I call him the other Dan. I call him D.O.D. Dan Aguirre calls him the other Dan.
The other Dan.
And, of course, Johnny Santucci will be back.
Hey, real quick.
Yes, sir.
You know how Halloween made a recent trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
and they finally killed him in Halloween Ends?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same people that brought you Halloween in 2018, 21, and 22 are doing the same. I love Return of the Living Dead Part 1 from 84. It's just fucking fantastic. The same people that brought you that Halloween trilogy are bringing you an Exorcist trilogy, the first of which comes out this fall. And the weirdest thing I can say, Linda Blair's not involved, but Ellen Burstyn at age 93 or whatever she is in all 3 of them, apparently.
Wow, I love it already.
So they have Ellen Burstyn playing Reagan's mom,
yeah,
but no Linda Blair. Allegedly, Linda Blair at the time they made the announcement said, they didn't even ask me.
Oh, that sucks.
She was like, but I wish them well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, 86. I thought that,
86. So you were alive for the Bears Super Bowl. January 19th.
January 26th, 1986.
See this guy?
And the shuttle blew up on the 28th, I think, the Challenger.
That's right. It really fucked up that season for that celebratory feel.
Yeah.
It really fucked it up. Fucking
How
NASA.
bears is that to win the Super Bowl and the celebration gets ruined?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Fuck, man.
By the way, the other Dan says that Kitty is going to make some appearances on our Tuesday night show, and I love that. She's got insider movie information because she has worked on many movie sets, including one. She shared the story with us on Monday night's Bears Country podcast that she was working on a set, and a woman was
a woman. What'd she do with her?
She was put in danger. She was tied up on train tracks when they didn't inform the railroad company that they were filming a scene on their railroad.
And the train
truck.
was really coming?
And the train is fucking really coming. So
it's a Doobie Brothers song, right? The train.
That's right.
Something about the train coming.
By the way, you want to smoke a doobie before going to bed?
I don't smoke weed. I've never smoked weed. That's something I bared my soul with on here. And I've had women look down on me for that so many times.
Really?
Man. Yeah.
I wonder why.
Because they think you know that you're uptight if you don't do drugs or something. It's just like, fuck, man, it's just not my thing, man. I don't tell you not to do them. Like, don't fucking force me to try to do them. But I'm not saying everyone has. I'm not pointing at anyone specific, but it has occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was dumped once in 2007 on an answering machine. This is so old because I didn't roll ecstasy with her on her birthday. I didn't know it was a big deal, but she told me that on my 5-minute message before it turned off. No shit. I had that message for years until my ex-wife was like, man, fuck that. Why do you still have that? Get rid of that. You're married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She was right.
She was.
She was always right about you. I'm just kidding.
You know, she would advocate me now. I think and say, oh, he's a great guy. So I wasn't great enough for her. I mean, like to keep it going, but she would, you know, endorse me.
Yeah.
The political endorsement.
She was a beautiful.
She wouldn't do what they're doing to Kevin McCarthy and make me do like 30 things to get the endorsement.
The other Dan says no Doobie Brothers tonight. I saw somebody from the corner of my eye caught my attention with something. Jim McMahon. Oh, Ashley Slashy says the Halloween movies sucks.
She's talking about those last 3.
Right. I agree with her on that. But the original.
No, she's talking about the last ones in that trilogy.
Right.
Yeah, the original first 2 were tremendous. And she said that she loved Return of the Living Dead, and so do I, the first one.
Can you believe that PJ has never smoked tobacco nor weed?
Me either.
Never?
Never.
Well,
never going to.
You just had a drink, though.
Yeah.
Well, he said he included alcohol.
Oh, alcohol, my bad. I meant I meant weed and
it's
tobacco.
on your screen, right? It says,
yeah, I wasn't looking. I was looking at you. I thought you.
I don't blame you.
I thought you were talking about tobacco and marijuana. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I understand. Okay. Your date has called. How can we get involved in this? Where do we got to go? What's it?
Oh, that'll give your shit a virus, man. It won't be the shit on your dick either. It'll be a fucking.
It won't be penile warts.
No.
Matthew Vogesi says, I have smoked weed and tobacco.
Rob Zombies were terrible. I admit. I agree with that.
I want to have fun with PAS36.fun, but instead we'll block them. All right, I think this is it, man. Dan, any final words for our Saturday night fans?
I appreciate. God damn it! I keep hitting this mic. I appreciate everybody that has interacted with us tonight, listened to us, watched us. However, you're taking in the show. It is a Saturday, so we didn't expect. We kind of thought we'd be doing this, and most people would catch it on demand. I think, right?
Right.
And so anybody that's been with us the last few years, it's cool, man. We appreciate you. I mean, again, sometimes we talk tough topics, especially early on when we're just getting our footing, because we started to get it. I don't want to say any names or anything, but there were a couple borderline threatening messages from Republicans that obviously we're pro January 6th and would just be ready to fucking fight over it. And so we did less politics then, because why do we want to do here? Like argue with people the whole time?
Right.
So along the way, there's been some bumps in the road is what I'm saying. And but it's good. I think our chemistry is good. I'd like to think the show is good, and I hope everyone thinks that too. And we appreciate you.
And Ashley Slashy is correcting you. She's saying that she hates all of the Halloween movies.
Well, I like part 1 and 2.
All of them.
Well, I like 1 and 2.
Yes.
She has a return tattoo, she says. I like that. I wish this mic. I can't get the mic to stay up now.
Let me see.
That's better than my dick. My dick stays on. I knew you were gonna go there.
Hold on. See the knob on the left, your left hand.
All right.
Right there.
Right here.
Yeah. Loosen it and tighten. There you go. Yeah, boy, that did flop down like flaccid penis.
That did.
No, don't push you're pushing this thing, the windscreen, into the microphone. You notice how you're doing that? Your hand?
I think I got it right now, don't I?
Let me help this guy.
Yeah. I'm only a broadcaster here.
It's fucked up.
But I have an engineer that does this kind of shit, man.
All right, first of all, we gotta move this here.
Oh, I see now. Okay.
And then move this up like this.
At least we're getting a few more extra minutes of the show now.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that. See, I squeezed out a few more minutes of the show for everybody.
Well, now you can go to your room and squeeze out.
I can't beat off in your house. Come on, man.
You've been in my house, 3 times now?
Yeah.
The other 2 times you've been here with a woman. You never had sex in the
No, I didn't have sex
in
in
the
your
bridal
bed.
salon?
No.
Come on, man. That's the honeymoon suite.
If it were like just you.
What did you just say?
If it were just you here.
Okay.
Your wife is here.
Okay.
You can't do that kind of shit with your wife here.
I don't know. I do it.
Well, that's different. I would be a shitty house guest, I think.
I think my wife would agree with you, but
Yeah, see, I don't want her to be like, Dan came here and nutted all over the covers. No, like that's not going to be said because I didn't do it.
That is man cold, Aldo. Man cold. All right, that's it. We're gonna leave. We hate to leave, but we got to wake up early. We are going to the Chicago Bears game tomorrow, and but again, hopefully you will join us here on Tuesday with our brand new show. Critique us, tell us what works, tell us what doesn't work. If you want us to get rid of Tooch, we'll get fucking rid of Tooch.
No,
just
we're
kidding.
not getting rid of Tooch.
Just kidding.
He's gonna bring the heat with the Bears state of affairs.
I got a feeling he's still going to be sick on Tuesday because he sounded like shit today, man. He's got the Omni variant. Ashley Slashy with the green face. That's her picture of The Exorcist, I think.
I think maybe it's in reaction to nutting on the covers.
The other dad says, "Did you forget to pack pussy this time?"
Yeah, the last time didn't go so well.
Another story for another day.
You can't bear our souls on that one now because again, there's the show sort of precludes that moving forward.
That is very true. All right, for the very last time, we'll play our closing music. Nuncha has been our voiceover narrator, so this really will be the last time that she joins us for this show. Maybe I can contact her and she could work on our open for the new show. But that's it for this edition of Dan and
we
Aldo.
could 100 proof it and talk after the credits.
Yeah, we can.
So maybe you should stick around.
Stick around, everybody. We might have a surprise. We might come back naked.
Thank you for listening to Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. Make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network and you give us a rating on iTunes. Until next week, my name is Nomse. Bear down.
We have sex in your house. Well, where the fuck are you, Ashley? You know where I caught my flight, Ashley? The town you live in. Roanoke. Tiki Barber, Ronde Barber country.
Join us next week, Ashley Slashy, to talk about Halloween and Dan